Chapter 56. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. The two sides were in a deadlock for a long time. All the workers in Huichun Hall were attracted. There were only 3 people in Huichun Hall who knew about Gu Jiao's medical skills: the second boss, shopkeeper Wang, and the old doctor. Although the others often saw Gu Jiao come, they only thought that she was a family member of the patient. The second boss and shopkeeper Wang were very polite to her. Everyone thought that it was because her husband was a student of Qianxiang Academy. Don't look down on any scholar. In the future, they could be a country squire, a minister, or a local official. They just didn't expect her to do such a thing. I didn't expect that such an honest person would be a thief. Yes, she stole someone's jade pendant and jade thumb ring. I knew it. Her husband didn't come today and she didn't need to get medicine. Why did she enter Huichun Hall? Is she eyeing that rich young lady? She chased after her to steal things. She's not afraid of ruining her husband's reputation. Isn't that right? It's really bad luck for a scholar to have such an evil woman. Of all the people present, except for the second boss, no one believed that Gu Jiao was innocent. Wasn't it obvious? She was so poor. How could she have such a good jade pendant? Young miss, please keep the jade pendant. As the young maid spoke, she bowed and hung the jade pendant on the young lady's waist. Gu Jiao reached out to take it. How dare you? The young maid's eyes were cold. She raised her hand and slapped Gu Jiao. However, before her slap could land on Gu Jiao's face, she was slapped down by Gu Jiao. No one knew how Gu Jiao did it. By the time they reacted, the young maid was already lying on the ground with her cheeks swollen. The young lady was also stunned. Gu Jiao stretched out her small hand that was covered in scars from years of hard work. She lifted the young girl's curtains and pulled down the jade pendant hanging on her waist. Throughout the whole process, Gu Jiao held his breath and did not smell the fragrance on her body. The young girl stared at her with her almond-shaped eyes. You, impudent! A country bumpkin actually dared to touch her. After Gu Jiao took back the jade pendant, she wasn't in a hurry to put it into her pouch. Instead, she took out a clean handkerchief from her bosom and wiped the jade pendant from top to bottom. The girl's breathing stopped. This country bumpkin. Was she despising her for being dirty? If Gu Jiao wanted to annoy someone, she had to do it from all angles. The young girl only felt that her chest was suddenly blocked, and she was almost unable to breathe properly. The young girl gritted her teeth and angrily shouted, "Report this to the authorities." Who wants to report to the authorities? Accompanied by a dignified and cold male voice, the dean walked over with a stern expression. Another one that wasn't to be trifled with had arrived. The servants of the Return of Spring Hall all made a path for him. The dean entered the room and looked at the young girl who was fuming with anger. He then looked at the servant girl who was lying on the ground for a long time, unable to get up. His expression was normal as he walked over to Gu Jiao's side. From where he stood, one could see his position. He turned around and looked at the young girl in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. Is it this young lady who wants to report to the authorities? I don't know what happened to make this young lady so angry. His words were polite, but his tone was not. The young girl knit her brows and asked, "Who are you?" The dean said, "I am the dean of Qianxiang Academy." The young girl, "Dean Li." The dean, "That is me." Dean Li's name was like thunder in the capital, so it was impossible for the young girl to not have heard of him. Don't look at how Dean Li was a teacher in a small town, but his influence in the capital was still there. The young girl was still polite to him. She looked at Gu Jiao and said, "She stole something from our family, why haven't you returned it to me?" "I didn't steal it, the jade pendant is mine." Gu Jiao could ignore the young girl's opinion, but she cared about the dean's opinion. She was Xiao Liulong's wife, so she didn't want to leave a stain on the dean's heart. "What do you say about the jade thumb ring?" the young girl asked. It accidentally fell into my sleeve. I only found it when I got home. Gu Jiao told the truth. The servant girl angrily said, "You didn't say that just now. You admitted that you stole it." See, this was why Gu Jiao wasn't willing to explain to them. It was because they wouldn't listen to her properly. "Let me see the jade pendant," Dean Li said to Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao handed the jade pendant to him. Dean Li remembered that his teacher also had an identical jade pendant. He also remembered that his teacher had once given Gu Shaoshun a New Year's gift, so he roughly understood what was going on. This jade pendant was given away by his teacher. As for whether it was given to Gu Jiao herself, Gu Shaoshun, or Gu Shaoshun giving it to Gu Jiao, none of this was important. The important thing was that Gu Jiao definitely didn't steal it. His teacher had retired and didn't want anyone to know where he went, so he naturally wouldn't mention his teacher. He faintly smiled and said to the young girl, "Miss, you're mistaken. This jade pendant isn't yours. It was given to me by my teacher, and then I gave it to her husband." "Her husband?" The young girl looked at Gu Jiao from head to toe. "Her husband is my direct disciple." Dean Li unilaterally declared his disciple's sovereignty. If that was the case, everything could be explained. Dean Li's teacher was the old chancellor of the Imperial College. Before he retired, he was highly regarded by the emperor. It wasn't strange for him to have an item from the imperial court. But the young girl still felt that it was inconceivable. Many people in the capital wanted to take Dean Li as their teacher, but they were all rejected by him. This little village girl was so poor, so she should have married a poor country boy. How could she have entered Dean Li's eyes? Just as the young girl was feeling suspicious, a waiter from the rejuvenation hall ran over, panting, "Found it, found it." Achoo! Gu Jiao smelled the fragrant powder on the jade pendant and couldn't help but sneeze. The jade pendant was found in the grass, and it had the same fragrance as the young girl. Compared to Gu Jiao's jade pendant, this piece was clearly more like hers. "Is the truth out now?" Gu Jiao asked. "Even if you didn't steal the jade pendant, you still stole the jade thumb ring," the servant girl whispered. "Don't say any more, you Ru." The young girl stopped her and looked at Gu Jiao with a complicated expression. She walked forward and bowed. "Sorry, I misunderstood you." "Miss." The servant girl turned pale with fright. Her miss was the daughter of a marquis. How could she lower her voice to a lowly village girl? So what if she was wronged? Wouldn't it be enough to prove her innocence? Why did she have to apologize? The young girl said to the servant girl, "You should also quickly apologize to this girl." "But apologize?" The young girl's tone instantly became strict. The servant girl didn't dare to disobey and apologized to Gu Jiao with a dark face. The young girl turned to the second boss and said, "I hope this matter won't affect the treatment of my younger brother." The second boss calmly looked at Gu Jiao. Seeing that she didn't object, he smiled and nodded at the young girl. "Miss Gu, what are you saying? Our Huichun Hall is benevolent. We won't delay the treatment of patients because of personal matters." "Thank you." The young girl nodded and left with the servant girl with a bruised nose and swollen face. Dean Li looked at her back and said thoughtfully, "The Gu family? The Gu family in the capital?" The second boss sighed with emotion. Other than the Gu family in the capital, who else could raise such a precious daughter? Everyone is not a saint. How can there be no mistakes? But to be able to admit her mistake and repent in time and sincerely apologize to a lowly village girl, it was enough to show her noble character. What Dean Li didn't say was that the precious daughter's name was really Gu Jinyu. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. www.zhhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website, m. zhhbqg.com. Chapter 57. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with substance that cannot be found online are all available here. After Gu Jinyu left the clinic, she went straight to a tea house in town. The Marchioness had been waiting there for a long time. Gu Jinyu entered the tea house and threw herself into the Marchioness's arms like a swallow. She called her mother tenderly. The Marchioness hugged her daughter whom she had not seen for many days. Her heart was about to melt, but she said, "How old are you? You're still burrowing into your mother's arms? You're so shameless." Gu Jinyu hugged her even tighter and said coquettishly, "No matter how old I am, I'm still your and father's daughter. How am I shameless?" How could the Marchioness despise her for being shameless? She was just coaxing her to say a few childish words to comfort her after not seeing her for so long. The Marchioness pinched the tip of her nose. "You've really been spoiled by your father." Gu Jinyu snorted. "Who told father to only have me as his precious daughter?" The Marchioness did not know whether to laugh or cry. She asked her, "Did you pay the consultation fee at Huichun Hall go smoothly?" At the mention of this, Gu Jinyu averted her gaze. The Marchioness keenly sensed her daughter's abnormality. "What's wrong? Is Huichun Hall not satisfied with the consultation fee?" The consultation fee was a big blunder. The Marchioness thought that the servant had paid, and the servant thought that the Marchioness had paid. If the Marchioness had not casually asked, they would not have known that they had been in arrears with Huichun Hall. It was also because of this that the Marchioness had planned to personally make a trip to Huichun Hall. Unexpectedly, she had just left the villa when she ran into her daughter who had rushed over from the capital. After hearing the whole story, Gu Jinyu took on the responsibility of paying the consultation fee. But the Marchioness was not idle either. She went up the mountain to offer incense to the Bodhisattva. It's not that Huichun Hall is not satisfied with the consultation fee, but... Gu Jinyu recounted everything that had happened at Huichun Hall. She did not embellish or hide anything. But her mother had taught her not to judge a book by its cover, so she did not deliberately emphasize that the village girl was ugly and had a striking red birthmark on her left cheek. Daughter was wrong. I shouldn't have been so arbitrary. She lowered her head and admitted her mistake. The Marquise said earnestly, "In this world, there will always be people of higher status than us. Your status is higher than hers, so you can look down on her. If in the future you meet someone of higher status than you, won't they look down on you too?" Although the Marquise doted on her daughter, she was not without principles. Gu Jinyu coquettishly held the Marchioness' arm. "I am the Marquise' daughter. Who would dare to belittle me? You." The Marquise glared at her helplessly. "But what's with younger brother's jade thumb ring?" Gu Jinyu asked. The Marchioness said, "Your brother said that she took it by accident. You know that your brother wouldn't lie." But Gu Jinyu still did not understand. "What do you mean by accidentally? How did he know that she was careless? Did he see it? This? I don't know either." The Marquise doted on her daughter and had her own principles, but when it came to her son, all of them didn't count. After all, her son was someone who lived one day less, and she couldn't bear to use rules to restrain him. Her son didn't want to talk about what happened that day, so she didn't ask. It was just a jade thumb ring. If it was gone, it was gone. As long as her son was happy, it was fine. Gu Jinyu snorted with jealousy. "I also accidentally took it last time, but he ignored me for a whole month. Am I still his biological sister?" "You." The Marquise poked her forehead and said in annoyance and amusement, "If you're not, then who is? Don't tell me that the little girl who took the jade thumb ring is?" Because of this completely impossible joke, Gu Jinyu's mood improved. She leaned into her mother's arms and stretched out her small hand. "Mother, my hand is cold." The Marquise touched the back of her hand. It was indeed a little cold. Her heart ached. She put down the candy in her hand and took an exquisite hand warmer to warm her daughter's hand. But Gu Jinyu looked at the sesame candy on the plate with a strange expression. "Mother, where did you get this? One look and you can tell it's not clean. Be careful not to get a stomachache." The Marquise thought of that little girl, and a trace of gentleness appeared in her eyes. "A kind-hearted girl gave it to me, so I accepted it." On the other side, Gu Jiao received her consultation fee. It was a total of 20 taels. Adding the money she had, it was enough to buy that mountain. The second boss was a little worried that today's matter would make Gu Jiao unhappy. He asked embarrassedly, "The consultation next month," Gu Jiao calmly said. "I promise to see patients once a month. I won't go back on my word." After saying that, she took the money and went to the academy. The dean did not return to the academy and left first. When Gu Jiao arrived at the academy, school had already ended. Students in white uniforms came out one after another. Gu Jiao was still waiting at the entrance of the alley, but she did not see Xiao Lulang or Gu Xiaoshun. Just as Gu Jiao was guessing whether the two of them had been detained by the teacher, Xiao Lulang and Gu Xiaoshun walked over from another direction. Xiao Lulang and Gu Xiaoshun carried a pile of things in their hands. When they got closer to Gu Jiao, she realized that it was some candles and a thick stack of paper money. Gu Jiao asked, "What did you buy these things for?" Gu Xiaoshun was stunned. "Sister, did you forget? Today is the anniversary of third uncle and third aunt's death." Gu Jiao was speechless. She really forgot. The original owner remembered such an important day. Unfortunately, Gu Jiao was not the original owner, so she had forgotten this day. "Thank goodness you remembered," Gu Jiao said to Gu Xiaoshun. Gu Xiaoshun awkwardly scratched her head. "Actually, I don't remember either. It was brother-in-law." Gu Jiao raised her eyebrows as she looked at Xiao Lulang. She did not remember herself mentioning the anniversary of her parents' death. He should have heard it from the villagers. With their current fake relationship as husband and wife, it was hard for him to remember. "Gu Jiao, thank you." Xiao Lulang expressionlessly got onto the ox cart with his walking stick. He was still angry at Gu Jiao for having a secret relationship with Principal Li. He was planning on not talking to her for a day. Gu Jiao didn't know what was going on with his sudden awkwardness, but he had already helped her remember the anniversary of her parents' deaths. It definitely wasn't because of her. Gu Jiao heartlessly got onto the ox cart. Gu Jiao, who thought that their relationship was very good, deliberately chose the seat closest to him. Xiao Lulang was half dead from anger, but the person who made him angry did not have the slightest awareness that she had done something wrong. Xiao Lulang became even angrier. After the three of them returned to the village, Madame Lu directly called Gu Xiaoshun away. Gu Jiao and Xiao Lulang went to the cemetery on the other side of the field. Gu Sanlang and his wife Madame Su's graves were next to each other. Because no one had taken care of it for a long time, the grass on the grave was half a person's height. Xiao Lulang was sulking, but he still rolled up his sleeves and pulled out the grass on the grave one by one. He was very focused on pulling out the grass and did not notice that Gu Jiao behind him was staring at the grave in a daze. In the original owner's memory, Gu Sanlang was washed away by a flood. The villagers searched along the river bank for half a month before they found his body. At that time, the body was soaked and could not be seen. Madame Su only took one look and collapsed on the spot. After that, she did not have a good life. She only held on for a year before she passed away on the anniversary of Gu Jiao's father's death, leaving behind a 5-year-old daughter. They were very good parents. Compared to Gu Jiao's parents in her previous life, they were many times better. It was a pity that they passed away so early. It seems that no matter if it was her previous life or this life, she was destined to have no father or mother to love her. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found on the internet are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_896422209 HTML Genius 1 second. Remember this website address: www.zhbqg.com. Biku Gur mobile reading website zhbqg.com. Chapter 58. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more frequently. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels that can't be found online are all available here. After the two of them finished visiting Gu Jiao's parents' graves, they set off to go home. The two of them spent a lot of effort cleaning up the graves, so they were dirty all over. Xiao Lu Lang, in particular, pulled out the grass on the grave and his hands turned green. Gu Jiao knew that he loved cleanliness, so when they passed by the river, she said to him, "Go wash your hands." "Okay." Xiao Lu Lang responded and limped towards the river with his crutches. Gu Jiao observed his walking posture. To be honest, the surgery was very successful, and he had been working hard during this period of rehabilitation, but he still couldn't throw away his crutches. Was the rehabilitation not enough? Gu Jiao rubbed her chin. "Aren't you going to wash your hands?" Xiao Lulang turned around and asked her. Gu Jiao chuckled. "Wash. Let's wash together." It was just washing hands. Why was she so enthusiastic? It wasn't like they were taking a bath, right? After Xiao Lulang asked, he remembered that this was the river she had fallen into before. Perhaps she was afraid and didn't come over. He secretly blamed himself for talking too much. He planned to quickly wash up and leave, but Gu Jiao had already squatted down beside him. The river water was a bit cold, but the two of them weren't pampered young masters and young ladies, so they could endure it and wash up. However, the moment the two of them got up, something suddenly fell out of Gu Jiao's arms and fell into the river. My purse. Gu Jiao didn't expect this to happen. She quickly grabbed it, but it was too late. The purse was filled with a lot of silver, so it was heavy and sank in an instant. Gu Jiao didn't think and jumped into the river. Xiao Liulong's expression changed. Her diving into the water was even more unexpected than her purse falling into the water. Before Xiao Lulang could react, she had already disappeared. Xiao Lulang looked at the rippling surface of the lake and moved his feet. Of course, he could swim, but now that his leg was injured, he was not sure if he could save her. Just as Xiao Lulang clenched his fists and stared intently at the surface of the water, Gu Jiao floated to the surface with her purse in hand. "Found it. I found it." Xiao Lulang hurriedly pulled her ashore. Gu Jiao knelt on the grass, dripping water and panting. Xiao Lulang frowned as he looked at the pouch in her hand. "It's just a pouch. How much silver is it worth for you to throw away your life?" "It's not silver." Gu Jiao shook her head. She opened the pouch and poured out the things inside. She did not look at the silver and only grabbed a palm-sized brown paper bag that was sealed with wax. "Do you have a handkerchief?" She looked at Xiao Lulang. Xiao Lulang took out a clean handkerchief from his chest and gave it to her. He thought that she was going to wipe the water off her face, but unexpectedly, she used the handkerchief to carefully wipe the brown paper bag. After wiping the brown paper bag, she carefully peeled off the wax on the surface. Then she opened the brown paper bag and revealed a document with an official seal. The document was dry and intact. Gu Jiao let out a long sigh of relief. This was the document that the principal had sent to Xiao Lulang for the county exam. Xiao Lulang did not want to take the exam, so he turned around and threw it into a pile of waste paper. Gu Jiao found the document while helping him tidy up the room. She thought that he had accidentally dropped it, so she carefully kept it for him. Gu Jiao handed the document to him. "You hold it well. I'm covered in water, so don't wet the document." Xiao Lulang, "You're doing this just for this?" He would not take the exam. In this kind of weather, it was fine to wash your hands by the river, but if you really fell into the water, you wouldn't be able to handle it. Gu Jiao was shivering from the cold wind. Her wet eyes were wide open and her little hand was stretched out in front of him. Water dripped from her sleeves, but it did not wet his document at all. Those 4 words circled around his mouth, but in the end, he did not say it. Instead, he said, "I won't be able to pass the exam anyway, so why bother?" Gu Jiao righteously said, "How do you know you won't be able to pass the exam if you haven't taken the exam? Even if you don't pass the exam this time, isn't there a next time? If you don't pass the exam next time, there will be a next time. There will be a day when you'll pass the exam." Xiao Lulang said, "If I can't pass the exam, I'll always be useless." Who said that I'm useless if I can't pass the exam? There are thousands of paths in life, and studying is only the easiest path. If you don't like it, you can do something else. Thinking of something, Gu Jiao looked at him carefully. "You don't dislike studying, right?" Xiao Lulang looked at the pair of eyes that were filled with anticipation. It was as if he said that he did not like it, she would be hurt. Xiao Lulang sighed softly and took the document. "Are you stupid?" His voice was very low and light. Gu Jiao tilted her head and looked at him. "Huh? What did you say?" "Nothing." Xiao Lulang turned around and unbuttoned his school uniform. He turned around and bent down to put the uniform on her. "Let's go home." After falling into the water, Gu Jiao fell sick. On the day of Xiao Liulong's county exam, she still had a fever. But she still woke up early and made breakfast for Xiao Lulang with her dizzy little head. She also made some dry food to take to the exam. The county exam had a total of 5 rounds. There was an exam every other day. Every day, one had to pass the exam for a whole day. The first round was called the main round. It was an exam that had to be taken. After passing, one could enter the second round. If one passed all 5 rounds, they would have the right to participate in the next month's provincial exam. After the provincial exam, there was still the college exam. After passing the college exam, one would become a scholar of Zhao country. Of course, there were different grades for scholars. The ones with the best grades were called Lin students. They were given grain by the government every month. The next was Shang students, who were not given grain. The last was Fu students. Gu Dashun was a genuine Lin student. Because of this, the Gu family had been proud of him for a long time. Gu Jiao felt that her husband did not need to take the exam to become a Lin student like Gu Dashun. Being a Fu student was actually not bad. She did not have high expectations. It was fine as long as he passed the exam. It was fine if he did not pass the exam. She would support him and did not need him to take the exam. Gu Jiao sat on the ox cart. Her small body was shivering from the cold wind. She sniffled and said in a muffled voice, "Don't be nervous. We are just taking the exam casually. Just treat it as going through the motions. I already asked around. There are a total of 5 rounds. It is fine if you did not perform well in the first round. There are still 4 more rounds. I will come with you every day. Achoo, achoo, achoo." After Gu Jiao finished speaking, she sneezed 3 times in a row. Her eyes were seeing stars. Xiao Lulang looked at her deeply and did not say anything. After entering the exam hall, the examiner distributed the exam papers to each examinee. The reason why he was sitting here was because someone had almost lost their life because of the exam paper that he had thrown away. But this did not mean that he would take the exam seriously. He was going to hand in a blank paper. Achoo! The sound of an examinee sneezing came from the exam shed next door. Xiao Liulong's mind suddenly flashed with the image of someone sneezing madly on the ox cart. Her small face was flushed red from the high fever, her eyes were blurry and unfocused. Her small body was swaying, but she refused to go back. Thinking of a certain someone dragging her sickly body to wait for him on the ox cart for an entire day, Xiao Lulang picked up his pen in irritation. Xiao Lulang did not take the exam after 1 round. The news quickly reached Gu Dashun's ears. Generally speaking, there were only 2 situations when one took the exam. The first was if the examinee performed too well and became the head of the desk. being guaranteed entry into the capital examinations. The second was if the examinee performed too poorly and did not have the qualifications to enter the next 4 rounds. The first situation was rare. After all, no matter how well one performed in the first round, there was no guarantee that no one would be able to surpass them in the next 4 rounds. Not to mention Xiao Lulang, who was ranked at the bottom of Class B. Even if he performed at his best, he would not be able to obtain first place. Digression. Award-winning quiz cum wave. How did Lulang do in the exam? A. He did too well. B. He did very poorly. P. S. Only Shaoxiang Academy's back end can give out rewards. Everyone can come to Shaoxiang Academy to leave a message. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more complete. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that cannot be found on the internet are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642/82642/826/70171214. HTML Genius 1 second. Remember this website address: www.zhbqg.com. Biku Gur mobile reading website: zhbqg.com. Chapter 59. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated more quickly. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with inner content that can't be found on the internet are all available here. I heard that Lu Lang went to the county exam. At dinner, old Master Gu asked about Xiao Lulang. What happened to Gu Jiao before the new year? Although no one thought that Mr. Qin did it on purpose, they felt that Gu Jiao was really unlucky. Since Xiao Lulang married her, then Xiao Lulang was also unlucky. At this time, hearing Xiao Liulong's name, the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law were all flustered. Unfortunately, it was old Master Gu who asked, so they didn't dare to speak and just ate in the kitchen. Yes, he only took 1 exam. It was Gu Dashun who answered. Gu Zhonghai wondered, why only 1 exam? Didn't you take 5 exams that time? Gu Dashun thought for a while. Maybe he failed the exam? If he didn't pass the first exam, he wouldn't be allowed to take the rest. Gu Zhonghai, then will the exam fee be refunded? Gu Dashun, no. Gu Zhonghai picked up some pickles with his chopsticks. Tut, 2 taels of silver. If you throw it into the manure pit, it will bubble up. Old Master Gu frowned and looked at his eldest son. Gu Zhonghai was scared and shut up. The manure pit ruined everyone's appetite, except for Gu Dashun. Don't think he didn't know that it was the dean who signed Xiao Lulang up for this exam. The dean didn't want him, a good cadet, but had high hopes for Xiao Lulang, a rotten piece of wood. In the end, he could only let him down. Gu Dashun's heart was filled with the pleasure of revenge. 10 days later, the results of the county exam came out. Gu Dashun was waiting to see Xiao Lulang make a fool of himself, but he was directly stunned by a bolt from the blue. There were a few big words written on the big red news of the academy. County examination first place, Xiao Lulang. Actually, the Yamen didn't release the results so quickly. It was the headmaster who personally went to the county Yamen to ask about the results. He didn't even wait for the Yamen to release the results before he released the good news himself. It was hung in the most eye-catching position, ensuring that everyone who passed by the academy would be able to see it. The dean stood under the good news and smiled like a fool. Those who knew would say that his student had gotten first place in the county examination. Those who didn't know would think that his own son had passed the provincial examination. He even specially called Xiao Lulang over to the Zhongzheng Hall. I knew my painstaking efforts would not be in vain. You're really touched by me. Xiao Lulang looked at him expressionlessly. I just hate having so many tests. The dean said slowly, oh, then you can hand in a blank paper. Even if you hand in a blank paper, you don't have to take the rest of the exam, do you? Admit it, Lu Lang. You do love me dearly. You can't bear to disappoint me. Xiao Lu Lang was too lazy to pay attention to him. He turned around and left. The good news hadn't spread to the village yet, so Gu Jiao didn't know anything about it. She had been resting at home for a few days and had recovered from her cold. She was packing her things and was planning to go to the temple. The snacks last time were pretty good. Bring some more back. Before she left, the old lady stopped her. Gu Jiao thought for a long time before she remembered that the old lady was talking about the snacks that the madam had given her when she went to the temple for the first time. Those weren't snacks from the temple. They were brought by a pilgrim. I don't know if I'll meet her this time. Although she said that, in her heart, she felt that the probability of meeting her twice was quite high. Gu Jiao put some mountain goods in her basket and planned to exchange them for some snacks. However, she didn't meet the madam until she went up the mountain. Instead, she saw a few weird little monks. The little monks had finished their homework and were stacked behind the door like a human pyramid. They stuck their heads out, and it was unknown who they were waiting for. When Gu Jiao arrived at the top of the mountain with her basket, their eyes widened. She's here. She's here. She's here with her basket. She's here. She's here. She's here with Fafa, Hua Hua. Quick, quick, hide. The little monks hurriedly retreated. However, there were too many little dumplings. They were all on top of each other. The ones on top couldn't get down, and the ones on the bottom couldn't get away. In the end, they could only throw themselves out and roll on the ground like little winter melons. Gu Jiao looked at the bunch of little monks who suddenly appeared in front of her. Was this a large-scale scam? Jing Fan, Jing Xin, Jing Shan, where did you guys go? They had tripped in front of a beautiful female patron. Did they not want to lose face? Stinky Senior Brother even called them by their names. The little monks got up and wanted to run away. Gu Jiao suddenly said, "What were you guys doing just now?" The few of them stopped in their tracks. Little Monk 1, we weren't looking at you. Little Monk 2, yes, we weren't looking at you. Little Monk 3 nodded. Gu Jiao raised her eyebrows. Why were you looking at me? Little Monk 1 2 3, because you're pretty. Gu Jiao. Little Monk 1 pointed at Gu Jiao's birthmark. Your Fafa, Hua Hua, is pretty. It was funny. The children in the village all treated her as an ugly monster. They either bullied her or avoided her when they saw her. However, this group of little monks who had never left the mountain were deeply attracted to her birthmark more than once. Gu Jiao was successfully attracted by the little monk's cuteness. She took out a few pieces of sesame candy from her basket and gave them to them. We can't take things from female patron. Little Monk 1 refused. Gu Jiao thought for a moment and said, Don't you monks know how to beg for alms? If you come to me to beg for alms, then these pieces of sesame candy will be yours. The little monks thought about it and felt that it made sense. They immediately went back to the house to take their small alms bowls and begged for alms from Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao gave them some sesame candy. The little monks held their small alms bowls and sat on the steps to eat. Gu Jiao counted the heads of the little monks and asked, Aren't there 4 of you? Why are there only 3 left? Little Monk 1, are you talking about Jing Kong? He's going to leave the mountain. So, the little wrestler's name was Jing Kong. Gu Jiao learned the whole story from the little monk and found out that the little wrestler was adopted by a kind-hearted rich family. The couple in that family had been married for 10 years and didn't have any children. They took the little wrestler back and raised him as their own son. He must be very sad to leave this place, right? Gu Jiao asked. The 3 little monks shook their heads in unison. Little Monk E was the most active of them all. He was the spokesperson of the little monk troop. He said, He's not sad at all. He wanted to leave the mountain long ago. Gu Jiao didn't understand and asked, Why? Little Monk 1, he said he can eat meat after he leaves the mountain. Gu Jiao. What kind of little monk went astray? Gu Jiao said again, "You must be very sad, right?" The three little monks shook their heads again. Little Monk 1, actually, he can't eat meat after he leaves the mountain. He's dizzy. He doesn't know. There are still people in this world who are dizzy with meat. Don't lie to me. Gu Jiao said, "You're not going to tell him?" Little Monk 1, "If we tell him, he won't leave." Gu Jiao paused and said with emotion, "You guys are quite considerate of him. Being adopted by a kind-hearted family was better than being a monk for the rest of his life." The little monk said arrogantly, "Who told him to eat so much? He ate all of our food." Gu Jiao. What kind of plastic little monks are these? However, the little wrestling boy couldn't leave the mountain in the end because the rich family suddenly stopped coming. The abbot sent someone to ask around and found out that the madam of the rich family was pregnant. She was pregnant last night. The doctor swore that it was a son. When Gu Jiao went to the abbot's meditation room, little monk was sitting on a rock at the door. There was a brand new small bag next to his hand. His little head drooped and he didn't move. His little figure looked lonely. Obviously, he already knew that he was abandoned by his adoptive family. His little body was shrouded in sadness. Gu Jiao thought for a while and walked over. She asked him, "Can I sit here for a while?" Little monk didn't say anything. He just pulled the small bag to the side. Gu Jiao then sat down next to him. Gu Jiao didn't have any resistance to good-looking things. The little monks in the temple were all very cute, but the one in front of her was especially cute. His little head was round, his eyes were big, and his eyelashes were long and black. He was simply an eyelash fairy. "Are you sad?" Gu Jiao asked. "What?" Little Jing Kong responded. He realized what Gu Jiao was asking and snorted, "I'm not sad." His voice was childish. Gu Jiao raised her eyebrows and said, "So, you don't want to go down the mountain?" Little Jing Kong crossed his arms in front of his chest. He turned his face and said arrogantly, "Yes, what's so good about going down the mountain? I heard that I'll be forced to eat meat. I don't want to break my precepts." "Oh, that's not what your group of friends said." Gu Jiao teased him, "You really don't want to go down the mountain?" Little Jing Kong said seriously, "Of course not. I won't go down the mountain for the rest of my life. I want to be a monk for the rest of my life. I want to be the abbot of the temple in the future." Gu Jiao secretly gave him a thumbs up. He was ambitious. Gu Jiao glanced at him and sighed, "Since you're so determined, then forget it. I was going to ask the abbot to let you go down the mountain with me for a few days." Little Jing Kong said with his arms akimbo, "I said I won't go down the mountain. I especially won't go down the mountain with you. You can ask me again if you don't believe me." Gu Jiao asked in a daze, "Do you want to go down the mountain with me?" Little Jing Kong grabbed his bag and said, "Yes." Gu Jiao was speechless on the spot. Digression. I only have 3 words. Ha ha ha. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. There are all kinds of novels that you can't find online. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642826701338867. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhhbqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. zhhbqg.com. Chapter 60. Please scan the QR code below to download the app for more interesting content. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found on the internet are all available here. Gu Jiao had never been tricked like this in her entire life, especially when the other party was a squishy little ball. Gu Jiao felt terrible. "You said that you won't go down the mountain with me. Monks don't lie." That was little Jing Kong just now. It has nothing to do with the little Jing Kong now. The little Jing Kong now agrees to go down the mountain with you. Gu Jiao, you can do that? Little Jing Kong ran into the room. Abbot, someone wants to adopt me. Gu Jiao, no, I don't think that's what I said. Who is it? The abbot asked kindly. Little Jing Kong raised his hand and pointed. Her. Gu Jiao, who just stepped into the meditation room, was speechless. Oh, it's little benefactor Gu. Amit Ba. The abbot bowed to Gu Jiao with one hand. Gu Jiao cleared her throat. Abbot, I was actually... The abbot smiled gently. I understand what you mean. Don't worry, I won't make things difficult for you. Gu Jiao secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the abbot was a reasonable person. The abbot said earnestly, Jing Kong is actually my Shidi's disciple. Usually, you have to get his approval first. But I know little benefactor Gu's character. I'll make the decision for my Shidi. Gu Jiao was confused. Wait, what did you make the decision for? The abbot said to little Jing Kong, listen to little benefactor Gu when you go down the mountain, okay? Little Jing Kong nodded. Okay. I know, abbot. Gu Jiao. Wait, are all of you so casual? Gu Jiao. I think you should ask the others, for example, his senior brother's opinion. Pa. A chair was moved into the room. Jing Kong, your favorite bamboo chair. Eldest senior brother is giving it to you. Don't forget eldest senior brother when you go down the mountain. Dong. A spinning top was stuffed into little Jing Kong's arms. Jing Kong, your favorite spinning top. Second senior brother will give it to you. Don't forget second senior brother. After that, every senior brother sent over a parting gift. They were so fast that it was as if Gu Jiao would regret her decision if they were a step slower. The corners of Gu Jiao's mouth twitched. Little monk, how many sins have you committed? Look at how anxious your senior brothers are. Is it too late to change my words now? Gu Jiao was here to buy a mountain, but when she went down the mountain, there was a little burden behind her. The abbot grinned, buy one, get one free. Gu Jiao. I don't feel like I've earned anything. Today was Xiao Liulong's big day. Whether he cared about it or not, he had completed a huge transformation from the bottom of Class B to the top of the county exam. If he was a top student of Class A, it wouldn't have caused such a big sensation. To put it bluntly, it was because he had taken a big step. Xiao Lulang was surrounded by people at the academy for the whole day. He heard from second Uncle Luo that the person who brought the good news had gone to the village. Presumably, the villagers all knew about it by now. Sure enough, when he walked to the door, he saw that it was surrounded by people. The villagers loved to be lively. Whenever something happened to someone's family, the whole village would come to watch. Xiao Lulang took a deep breath and prepared himself to be surrounded by the villagers. However, something unexpected happened. The villagers were blocking his way and he couldn't enter the house. He could only pat the shoulder of the person in front of him. Auntie Zhao, I'll go in for a while. What are you doing? Auntie Zhao moved her shoulder in disgust. It's me, Lulang, he said. Auntie Zhao hurriedly glanced at him. Lulang is back. After saying that, she continued to look into the house and ignored Xiao Lulang. Xiao Lulang was a little confused. Aren't you all blocking the way here because of me? What's with this perfunctory attitude? Xiao Lulang asked a few more villagers and found that they really didn't have the time to care about him. He was puzzled. If they weren't here for him, then why were they crowding around his house? When he squeezed through the door with great effort, he was stunned by the scene in front of him. He saw that in the central room of his house, there was a little monk with 3 heads. The little monk sat obediently on a small stool next to the old lady with a cute face. The villagers were all here for the little monk. They had never seen such a small monk who was obedient and beautiful. It was too rare. Xiao Liulong's limelight of being first in the exam was stolen by a little monk. Who could they find to reason with? The villagers left one after another when the sky was completely dark. Xiao Liulong's face was very dark, especially when he saw Gu Jiao come out with a bowl of food and the little dumpling jump into Gu Jiao's arms. His face became even darker. "Tell me, what's going on?" He looked at the old lady and Gu Jiao. The old lady was eating melon seeds. "Don't look at me, I didn't bring him back." Gu Jiao paused. "Would you believe me if I said that it was a gift from the mountain?" "Xiao Lulang, Jing Kong, go wash your hands in the backyard. I've got the water for you." After Gu Jiao sent the little Jing Kong away, she told Xiao Lulang the whole story. Of course, she didn't mention that she was tricked by the little Jing Kong. After all, it was a little embarrassing and she would never admit it. "He's too pitiful, so I brought him back." Xiao Lulang looked at Gu Jiao suspiciously. He felt that she wasn't such a kind person. "Are you sure you weren't tricked?" Gu Jiao's eyes widened. "Absolutely not. How old is he? How could he trick me? I'm not that stupid." Xiao Lulang expressed his doubts. Gu Jiao quickly changed the topic. She looked down and touched her index finger. "If you don't like it," Xiao Lulang interrupted her. "No, as long as you like it." They weren't a real couple. It was her freedom to raise as many children as she wanted. He had no right to interfere. Gu Jiao went to the kitchen to get the food. Little Jing Kong washed his hands and went back to the living room. He came in front of Xiao Lulang, looked him up and down, and asked seriously, "Are you my father?" Xiao Lulang choked. "She acknowledged you as her son?" Little Jing Kong shook his head. "No, Jiao Jiao said he would take after me. I'm just here to ask you, do you want to be my father or what?" Xiao Lulang said indifferently, "I don't have a son as old as you." Little Jing Kong said seriously, "I'm not old, I'm only 6 years old." Xiao Lulang chuckled. "Really? But you look only 3 years old." Little Jing Kong, who was indeed 2.5 years younger, was speechless. Little Jing Kong tilted his head and thought for a while. "So you want to be my elder brother?" Without waiting for Xiao Liulong's answer, Little Jing Kong nodded thoughtfully. "Okay, it's better than dumplings, and it's more fun than—" Xiao Liulong's body shook. "Shut up. What kind of indecent little monk is this?" The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are all kinds of novels that can't be found on the internet. https://www.zhbqg.com/896428226/700999953. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 61. Please scan the QR code below to download the app for more interesting content. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are all kinds of novels that can't be found on the internet here. The woodcutter in the back of the mountain never said anything nice. The little monks had heard it a few times, but the 3 of them couldn't remember it. Only little Jing Kong never forgot it. He understood it literally. After all, the dumplings were really delicious, and he really wanted to play with Jiao Jiao. "Don't say that again," Xiao Lulang said seriously. "Why?" Little Jing Kong blinked and asked. Xiao Lulang opened his mouth. "Jiao Jiao won't like it." After saying this, he glanced at the kitchen without anyone noticing. She was so far away, so she shouldn't have heard the Jiao Jiao. When Gu Jiao brought the dishes from the kitchen, the 2 men in the house had already confirmed their relationship. Xiao Lulang pointed at Gu Jiao and said, "She's your sister, your biological sister." He couldn't have any ideas about her. Besides, Gu Jiao already had a younger brother, so it didn't matter if she had one more. Little Jing Kong had already understood Gu Jiao's family relationship. He sighed like an adult. "Okay, although I'm not her unique younger brother, you're not her unique man either." He patted his small chest. indicating that he was also Jiao Jiao's man. Xiao Lulang, little monk, you're very arrogant on your first day in the house. In order to show that he was a responsible man, little Jing Kong even helped Gu Jiao set the table. The little monks in the temple actually had a tougher life than ordinary children. They practiced martial arts, attended classes, and worked hard. Therefore, even though he was small in stature, he was quite capable when it came to doing things. Dinner was a pot of wild mushrooms, green pepper eggs, cornflower soup, and cabbage buns. They could eat meat a long time ago, but they were too busy today, so they didn't go to town to get meat. The small monk looked at the table full of vegetarian dishes and couldn't hide his disappointment. There's no meat? Xiao Lulang chuckled and said, Aren't you a monk? Monks can eat meat. Little Jing Kong said seriously, But I won't be a monk when I leave the mountain. Xiao Liulong's gaze fell on his little bald head. Little Jing Kong hurriedly covered his little bald head with his little hands. My hair will grow out. Xiao Lulang said seriously, We can't afford meat. Little Jing Kong exclaimed and looked at the furnishings in the house. It was so shabby, as if they were really poor. Oh, he didn't want to eat meat anymore. He removed his little hands from his head and obediently picked up the vegetables. He was a little Jing Kong who was not picky about food. He was easy to feed. Gu Jiao chuckled. Your brother-in-law is just teasing you. I'll give you meat tomorrow. Okay. Little Jing Kong smiled happily. Then, he thought of something and stared at Xiao Lulang with a serious face. Bad brother-in-law. Little Jing Kong's appetite was not to be underestimated. He ate more than Gu Jiao. After dinner, Gu Jiao went to clean up the dishes. Little Jing Kong insisted on washing his own dishes. This was a habit cultivated in the temple. In order to let them be independent, eldest senior brother washed and dressed himself. He still needed someone to help him bathe. After all, he was too small and was not even as tall as the bathtub. There was no bathtub at home, only a wooden basin. However, he was so small that he wouldn't bathe himself even if there was a basin. Gu Jiao had never bathed such a small child before, so it was strange. She took the basin to the kitchen. The kitchen had just finished cooking, so there was still some firewood left in the stove. It was warmer than the old lady's house. Moreover, there was hot water in the pot. When the basin cooled down, she could add more water. Gu Jiao went back to the house to get clothes for little Jing Kong. Little Jing Kong sat on the stool obediently and waited for Gu Jiao. However, the person he waited for was not Gu Jiao, but Xiao Lulang. Compared to Xiao Lulang, who was cold and disliked him, little Jing Kong certainly preferred Gu Jiao, who was always kind to him and would be adorable by him from time to time. Sigh. Little Jing Kong sighed. He was quite disappointed. Xiao Lulang. After bathing, little Jing Kong went to bed. There were 3 rooms in the house, so there was no extra room for him. Gu Jiao thought that since he was small, it wouldn't be a problem for him to squeeze in with others. The old lady's house was the warmest, so it was the first choice. Go and sleep with Great Aunt. Gu Jiao gave him a small pillow. Little Jing Kong came to the old lady's house with the small pillow in his arms. He didn't go in immediately, but stood at the door and looked at her seriously. If you agree to give me half of the candied fruit that you hid, I'll sleep with you. The old lady didn't say anything and closed the door with a bang. Little Jing Kong went back to Gu Jiao's house with the pillow in his arms. Great Aunt won't sleep with me. Thinking of the old lady's weird temper and the violent sound of the door slamming, Gu Jiao didn't suspect anything. She pulled the quilt and said, Then you sleep with me. Okay. Little Jing Kong smiled happily and put the pillow on the quilt. He also climbed up with his short legs. Halfway up, Xiao Lulang lifted him up. Xiao Lulang, you sleep with me. Little Jing Kong, I don't want to sleep with you. Xiao Lulang, no, you want to. Little Jing Kong was carried back to the house by Xiao Lulang. Xiao Liulong's bed wasn't as big as Gu Jiao's bed, but it wasn't small either. There was more than enough space for one big bed and one small bed. The small bed didn't lie properly on one side. He was like a bullseye in the middle of the bed, sprawled out on all fours. Xiao Lulang put down his crutches and frowned. Sleep well. Little Jing Kong rolled around on the bed. No. Xiao Lulang said coldly, if you continue like this, I'll throw you down. I won't let you sleep. Little Jing Kong was about to say something. Xiao Lulang said, I'll lock the door too. I won't let you go. Little Jing Kong didn't say anything as his escape route was blocked. Xiao Lulang raised his eyebrows and said, You'd better behave yourself. Maybe I'll consider letting you squeeze in. Little Jing Kong was stunned for a while, then he got up and said, I should be the one saying that to you. Jiao Jiao said that I'm also a member of this family. So I should be the one letting you squeeze in with me. Xiao Lulang could understand the first part of his words, but what did the last two sentences mean? He said calmly, What do you mean by letting me squeeze in? Little Jing Kong looked at him with his hands on his waist. Because I'm also a member of this family, so I have a share of this family's room. You and Jiao Jiao are married, so you should sleep in the same room. That room is yours. This room is mine. Jiao Jiao didn't want to sleep with you. I'm the one taking you in now. Xiao Lulang, who couldn't refute, was speechless. What kind of nonsense was this? Also, could he throw this little stinky monk out? Children were people who couldn't be judged by common sense. Just a second ago, little Jing Kong was still babbling with Xiao Lulang, but in the blink of an eye, he was lying on the soft pillow, drooling in his sleep. Xiao Lulang liked peace and quiet, so he couldn't get used to this little guy who had been talking all night, but he didn't really throw him out. He took little Jing Kong off the pillow and tucked him into the quilt. Xiao Lulang looked at the little guy who stole his limelight. Because of his arrival, everyone forgot that he was first in the county exam. Although he didn't want to be in the limelight, he felt a little uncomfortable, as if something was missing. Creak. The door was gently pushed open. Gu Jiao Jiao leaned against the door and asked softly, Is he asleep? No, Xiao Lulang said, then paused and looked at little Jing Kong who was sleeping soundly. He's asleep. Then I'll come in. Gu Jiao Jiao walked in quietly with an oil lamp in her hand. I see that your oil lamp is almost used up. Why don't you use mine tonight? Okay. Xiao Lulang sat on the edge of the bed and responded faintly. Gu Jiao Jiao put the oil lamp on his table. Well, I haven't congratulated you on being first in the county exam. Xiao Lulang raised his eyelids slightly. For you. Gu Jiao Jiao handed something to him. What is it? Xiao Lulang asked. Gu Jiao Jiao smiled. You've improved so much. This is your reward. Xiao Lulang turned his face away. I'm not a kid. Why would I need a reward? Although he said that, he still reached out and took it. It was a sachet made by Gu Jiao Jiao herself. There were dried flowers in it that helped him sleep. The dried flowers were also made by her. Gu Jiao Jiao said softly, Take the sachet with you, and you'll be able to sleep well. You. Xiao Lulang wanted to ask her how she knew that he couldn't sleep well. Gu Jiao Jiao guessed what he wanted to ask. She smiled and said, Did you forget that we slept together before? Xiao Liulong's eyebrows twitched, but his expression remained calm. Gu Jiao Jiao planned to go back to the house. She suddenly turned back after taking a step. She leaned over and whispered in his ear. Just now. Did you call me Jiao Jiao? Digression. Oh, asterisk, asterisk. Oh, the latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are all kinds of novels that you can't find online. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642/826/700666921. HTML Genius remembered this site's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website, M. ZHHBQG. Come. Chapter 62. Please scan the QR code below to download the app for more interesting content. The novel will be updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels will be read for free. There are all kinds of novels that you can't find online. The two of them were so close that her breath fell on his ear. He could clearly feel the tip of his ear burning. No. He denied it and did not turn to look at her. However, Gu Jiao kept looking at him. The tips of his ears and cheeks were hot, and the slender and slightly red neck under his black hair was extremely youthful and beautiful. I don't care. I heard you. After that, Gu Jiao went out with satisfaction. She was getting more and more familiar with flirting with her little husband. Xiao Lulang looked at the sachet in his hand. The uneasiness in his heart was dispelled. He held the sachet and slept soundly. When he got up, he caught a glimpse of a little foot on his chest. Little Jing Kong was sprawled on his back and slept in an arrogant manner. Xiao Lulang moved his little foot away. After a moment of silence, he took out the sachet that Gu Jiao gave him and put it on the most conspicuous spot on his pillow. Then, he went to copy the book under the light. Little Jing Kong woke up and saw the sachet on his pillow. He rubbed his big eyes and asked in confusion, "Oh? What's this?" Xiao Lulang said casually while copying the book, "A sachet." Little Jing Kong had never seen a sachet before. He looked at it over and over again. Who made it? It's so beautiful. Your sister made it, Xiao Lulang said. Is it for me? Little Jing Kong grabbed the sachet and quickly got up. He then jumped up and down excitedly on the bed. Xiao Lulang glanced at him without changing his expression. You're thinking too much. It's for me. Little Jing Kong suddenly stopped jumping. Little Jing Kong didn't believe it, so he took the sachet to Gu Jiao, who was cooking breakfast in the kitchen, to ask for confirmation. What else could Gu Jiao say? Of course, she admitted it. Little Jing Kong looked aggrieved. He was not an insatiable child. It was just a child's nature. He did not understand why his bad brother-in-law had it, but he did not. Gu Jiao found her aggrieved expression adorable again. Gu Jiao had never raised a child before, so she did not consider that this matter might cause a psychological impact on him. The main reason was that she did not know that Xiao Lulang would be so childish as to show off the sachet to little Jing Kong. Gu Jiao explained the whole story of the sachet to little Jing Kong. Little Jing Kong was a very sensible child. He was no longer sad after knowing the meaning of the sachet. He valiantly returned to the house and generously returned the sachet to Xiao Lulang. Xiao Lulang narrowed his eyes and looked at him. You're not angry anymore? Little Jing Kong raised his chin and looked at him pitifully. I didn't know that your results were so bad. You should be rewarded for getting first place. I'm used to getting first place in the temple all the time. I don't need a reward anymore. Xiao Lulang was speechless. Today, he wanted to throw the little monk out again. After a while, Gu Xiaoshun came to the house for breakfast and got to know the new member of the family, Little Jing Kong. Little Jing Kong then realized that there were not only two men in the family. Gu Xiaoshun was also a man in the family. He just didn't live at home. Compared to Xiao Lulang, who could always set traps for Little Jing Kong, Gu Xiaoshun's fighting ability was not enough to arouse Little Jing Kong's vigilance. Little Jing Kong happily became good brothers with him. After the two of them went to school, Gu Jiao was also preparing to go to town. After the old lady came here, she asked Xuening Xiong to make her winter clothes. At that time, Xuening Xiong was not busy, but Xuening Xiong would be busy with farming after spring and would have no time to do needlework. Gu Jiao planned to go to town to buy a few sets of ready-made clothes for the old lady. Little Jing Kong also needed to buy clothes. He was abandoned in the temple when he was 6 months old and never went down the mountain. His bag was full of monk clothes. Hearing that Gu Jiao was going to town, Little Jing Kong's eyes immediately lit up. Can I go? Can I go? If it was just to buy clothes, Gu Jiao would definitely take him there. However, Gu Jiao had other things to do. Gu Jiao patted his little bald head. I'll take you there next time. Gu Jiao could see that little Jing Kong still wanted to go, but he didn't throw a tantrum and obediently stayed. This child was quite easy to deal with. Gu Jiao carried the small basket back to town. She was not going to practice medicine. She just had the habit of carrying the small medicine box with her. After all, the small medicine box was too big a secret, so she felt relieved to carry it with her. Secondly, she might really need the medicine inside later. Gu Jiao went to the street full of gambling houses, brothels, and martial arts arenas. 2 hours later, Gu Jiao rubbed her right wrist and came out refreshed. She had sweated a lot and took off her cotton-padded clothes. She was only wearing a thin jacket. I haven't been here for a few days, so I'm a lot rusty. She sighed and turned around, planning to go to the shop in the east of town to buy clothes for the old lady and little Jing Kong. However, she felt that something was wrong after taking a few steps. Someone was following her. Gu Jiao coldly raised the corner of her mouth. She was not surprised that someone was following her. Well, I haven't fought enough, so I can practice a few more. When she was about to leave the alley, Gu Jiao slowly stopped. The group of people who were chasing after him also stopped and looked at her with vigilance. Gu Jiao slowly turned around and looked at them coldly. The 8 of you, come at me together. The leader of the strong men narrowed his eyes coldly. How arrogant. Girl, do you know who we are? Gu Jiao looked at him unscrupulously. I don't care who you are. If you want to fight, then fight. If you don't want to fight, then get lost. The leader of the strong men sneered. Girl, the Blackwater Alley is not a place you should be. I'll give you a chance to beg for mercy. As long as you break your right arm and promise not to disturb our business, I'll spare your life. Gu Jiao's patience was not for these people. She had said what she wanted to say, but they were still nagging. This was very annoying. Gu Jiao quickly ran over to the other side. With one foot on the wall, she used the other to kick the leader's face. The leader did not even have time to react before he was sent flying. Big brother. They were all dumbfounded. Gu Jiao did not give them a chance to react. She used her palm as a knife and in the blink of an eye, 3 of them fainted. Half of the people were gone. The remaining 4 pounced towards Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao grabbed the first 2, swung them up, and smashed them onto the bodies of the other 2. The 4 of them spat out blood from being smashed. They held their chests and wondered if this was real. Gu Jiao clapped her hands and turned to leave. However, a black shadow passed over her head. There was more. Moreover, it was someone who knew Qinggong. They were thinking too highly of her. Gu Jiao grabbed a wooden stick from the ground and climbed up the wall in a few steps, smashing the black-clothed man down with a bang. The black-clothed man was stunned when he fell down. Girl, do you have a grudge against me? Gu Jiao. Heh, there's no use pretending. Black-clothed man. No, I really don't know you. Gu Jiao smashed him unconscious with the stick. Black-clothed man. After Gu Jiao beat him up, she discovered that there was another one nearby. However, that person was very vigilant. The moment Gu Jiao noticed him, he disappeared into the crowd. Quick! The assassin is over there. Following a loud shout from outside the alley, a few strong and powerful guards rushed over. They looked at the unconscious assassin and then looked at the ruffians on the ground. They did not understand what had just happened. Could it be that this assassin had a conflict with the ruffians in town and both sides were injured? But this assassin was an expert. How could he not even be able to defeat a few ruffians? Girl, did they hurt you? One of the guards asked Gu Jiao. No. Gu Jiao shook her head. She felt that the clothes of the guards were somewhat familiar, as if she had seen them somewhere before. Just as she was thinking, a carriage stopped at the entrance of the alley. The curtains of the carriage were slowly pulled open by a pale hand. A weak young man's handsome face appeared. Gu Jiao's eyes lit up. Sick. Digression. Little brother came to find Jiao Jiao. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more complete. Millions of novels are free to read. There are all kinds of novels that you can't find online. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_826/700305547. HTML Genius memorized this website's address. www.zhbqg.com. BQ mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 63. The newest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more frequently. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels that can't be found online are all available here. Gu Yen saw Gu Zhao's eyes and knew that she still remembered him. His 10,000-year-old world-weary handsome face had a trace of a happy smile. Gu Zhao saw his smile and her mood also improved. She was about to go forward and greet him when she saw his jade-like index finger on his lips. Gu Zhao instantly understood and lowered her eyes to pretend that she didn't see anything. Although these guards were also people from the hot spring villa, they had never seen Gu Zhao before, so they didn't recognize Gu Zhao's identity. But seeing that Gu Zhao was fine, they continued to look for her. After making sure that they were far away, Gu Zhao came to the front of the carriage. This was a civilian carriage and it was very simple. No wonder it could be hidden from everyone. The guards would never have thought that the noble Marquis Fu's young master would be in a carriage like this. The driver was also from the town and had been given enough money, so he wouldn't speak carelessly. Gu Zhao opened the curtains and looked at the delicate and petite youth in front of her. She asked, "Why did you come here? You even threw off your own guards?" "I came to find you," Gu Yen honestly said. "Find me? Are you not feeling well?" Gu Zhao unconsciously reached her hand through the window to take his pulse. When she grabbed his wrist, she remembered that she was only a little medicine boy in the Marquis Fu. She calmly took back her hand. Gu Yan's pale face revealed a faint smile. "I know it's you." Ah, how did he know? Where did she give herself away? Gu Zhao scratched her little head. Gu Yen was amused by her confused appearance. "No one else knows. Come up." Her secret was getting more and more out of hand. First it was the old grandfather, then it was the second boss and the old doctor, and now it was this young master of the Marquis' estate. Gu Zhao still decided to lie. "It wasn't me who treated you. It was Dr. Li from Huichun Hall. I'm just his little medicine boy." Gu Yen smiled and said, "Okay, little medicine boy, are you coming up? If I don't come up, they'll discover me." Gu Zhao thought about it for a while and finally got into the car. She sat down beside Gu Yen. Even Gu Zhao felt that this carriage was too shabby to sit in. It was really hard on this young master of the Marquis' residence. Gu Yen did not feel wronged at all. As long as he could see her, he could sit anywhere. Gu Yen smiled and stretched out his bone-white wrist. "Little medicine boy, do you want to check my pulse?" Gu Zhao's expression did not change. "It's not guaranteed." Gu Yen smiled and nodded. "Yes." Gu Zhao checked his pulse. It was much more stable than last time. Then she opened the small medicine box and took out the stethoscope. "What is this?" Gu Yen asked curiously. "Stethoscope, take off your clothes," Dr. Gu said coldly. Gu Yen was stunned. Gu Zhao unbuttoned his clothes and put the stethoscope in. There was still arrhythmia and noise. The anti-heart failure medicine was effective for him, but it was not that effective. "Is it very uncomfortable?" Gu Zhao took back the stethoscope. Gu Yen lowered his head and closed his clothes with his slender and pale fingers. "It's not uncomfortable. Really, it's much better than before." He had spent so many years suffering from heart disease. He had never experienced the comfort of a normal person. As long as it was less uncomfortable, it would be better for him. You suffered because of the thumb ring, Gu Yen suddenly said. Gu Jiao was stunned for a moment. She would have forgotten if he did not mention it. In fact, it was not a big deal. It was an unimportant person. If she misunderstood, then so be it. I took your thumb ring first. I should apologize to you. Gu Yen hated that she was so distant with him. I don't want your apology. Gu Jiao smiled and did not continue the topic. Why did you shake off the bodyguards? They are annoying, Gu Yen said. Gu Jiao lifted the curtain and looked at the man in black on the ground. But you will encounter assassins. Gu Yen smiled and said, he is not an assassin. He is my secret guard. He led them away. Gu Jiao blinked innocently. Then he is really unlucky. He was injured by a few ruffians. Not far away, another secret guard spat out a mouthful of old blood. Miss, is it really okay to lie through your teeth? Yes. Gu Yen smiled. He was injured by a ruffian. Don't worry about him. Let him fend for himself. That was not necessary. Gu Jiao cleared her throat. You have more than one secret guard, right? Gu Yan's smile did not fade. There are two. It seemed that the one who ran away was his secret guard. Fortunately, she did not chase after him. Otherwise, it would be troublesome if she made him faint. Gu Jiao's face was full of embarrassment. What is your name? Gu Yen asked. Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao said. Gu Yen was surprised. Your surname is also Gu Yen. My name is Gu Yen. We were family 500 years ago. Gu Jiao was amused. You are a dignified young master of the Marquis family. You are lowering yourself to be related to a small village girl. Aren't you afraid that the Marquis and Madam will beat you if they find out? Are you hungry? Gu Yen asked. Gu Jiao woke up early and walked all the way. Now, she was really hungry. The western part of the town was not as prosperous as the eastern part of the town. There were not many good restaurants. After a long time, they found a small restaurant that was passable. Have you been to this kind of place before? Gu Jiao asked as she got off the carriage. No. Gu Yen said honestly. As a little seedling that would fall when the wind blew, the Marquis family had raised him in the palm of their hands. How could they allow him to come to this kind of place? Of course, he did not have much interest in it. First, he did not have the energy to do it. Second, he was tired of the world and was too lazy to do it. But it was different now. He did not feel that bad. Also, he wanted to see her. The two found a secluded corner and sat down. Gu Yan's appearance, temperament, and clothes were destined to attract a lot of attention. He hated being stared at, but if it was with her, he did not mind. The waiter had never seen such a noble young master. He even forgot to greet him. Gu Yen ordered a table full of good dishes. Gu Jiao frowned. Can you eat? There was rock sugar pork shoulder, braised meatballs, and steamed preserved vegetables. With his illness, he had to avoid eating. Gu Yen looked at her with his chin in his hand. Help me eat. Gu Jiao wanted to be reserved, but he ordered all her favorite dishes. In fact, Gu Yen had always wanted to eat these dishes, but the imperial doctor did not let him eat them. In the end, Gu Jiao ate all the fish and meat. Gu Yen could only eat porridge at the side. However, watching her eat, it was as if he was also eating. That kind of satisfaction was something he had never felt before. After eating, Gu Yen went to pay the bill. Gu Jiao looked at the small medicine box again. Sure enough, there was medicine for heart failure again. Gu Jiao removed the original packaging. Like last time, the medicine was placed in several different small porcelain bottles. The bottle's instructions and dosage were written in cinnabar. When Gu Yen came over, Gu Jiao had just handed him the medicine. You're almost done with your medicine, right? Gu Yen looked at the medicine in her hand and fell into deep thought. Gu Jiao continued, Dr. Li gave it to me. Gu Yen. Oh. Gu Jiao continued, it's okay to take your medicine on time and go out to relax, but don't leave the Imperial Guards behind. Especially your secret guard's ability is not very good. He can be beaten down with a stick. Gu Jiao said with a serious expression. Suddenly, she caught a glimpse of him looking at her with a smile. Her heart skipped a beat and she said seriously, I didn't hit him. I didn't. I don't hit people. She had exposed herself. Gu Yan laughed in his heart. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642/826/699996900. HTML Genius memorized the website's address. www.zhhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website. zhhbqg.com. Chapter 64. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. Gu Yan didn't stay in the small restaurant for too long, because the guards of the Marquis's mansion came. Gu Yan didn't let them disturb Gu Jiao, and said goodbye to Gu Jiao in a soft voice. Looking at his receding figure and thinking of his modest and polite appearance, Gu Jiao's little heart couldn't bear it any longer. He had the looks, the family background, and was so gentle and polite. He was such a perfect little sweetheart. Why did God want to torture him? The modest and polite little sweetheart, as soon as he got into the carriage of the Marquis's mansion, his smile disappeared and his hostility was fully revealed. His eyes were cold, and he was a completely different person in front of Gu Jiao. The man in black who was stunned by Gu Jiao's stick had already returned to Gu Yan's side with his companion. The two tried to reduce their presence and didn't even dare to breathe loudly. They had seen how shameless the young master could be. How could he be so good at pretending? If you have the ability, you can also pretend to be a little sweetheart in front of the Marquis and Master Ho. Who was that annoying person who was so irritable all day? Strictly speaking, they were negligent today, but the young master didn't even say a word of punishment. They could see that he was in a good mood. If that was the case, would it be time to tell him the news? Why aren't you leaving? What's the matter? Gu Yan asked with disdain. The two exchanged glances, and finally the man in black who was stunned by the stick said, Master Ho is on his way. Gu Yan's aura suddenly became cold. After a while, he reached out his hand, painting. The two tacitly handed over an antique painting that Master Ho had treasured. Gu Yan grabbed it and tore it up. On the other side, Gu Jiao was also about to leave. Today's dishes were very delicious. Gu Jiao bought a bowl of stewed pork knuckle with rock sugar and a bowl of braised meatballs with soy sauce. She paid a deposit of 50 copper coins and went to the shop to get 2 jars. She planned to bring them back to her family. But just as she walked out of the small restaurant with the jar in her arms, a horse galloped past. The rider waved a whip in his hand and rudely drove away the crowd on the street. In order to avoid his whip, one of the aunties staggered forward and bumped into Gu Jiao's jar. Gu Jiao's jar fell to the ground and smashed into pieces. The soup and pork knuckle meatballs spilled all over the floor. Soon, another woman stepped on it in a panic. Ouch! The auntie's feet slipped and she almost fell. Gu Jiao reached out and pulled her to the side. After the auntie realized what was going on, she hurriedly apologized to Gu Jiao. I'm sorry, Mississippi. I didn't mean to. Every injustice had its perpetrator and every debt its debtor. She wasn't to blame for this. If anyone was to blame, it should be the man who rode the horse on the street. The man turned a deaf ear to the chaos he caused. He didn't even look at Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao narrowed her eyes. When he waved the whip again and brushed past her, Gu Jiao grabbed his whip. Then, without giving the other party a chance to negotiate, she unceremoniously pulled him down from the carriage. The man fell heavily to the ground, and the horse left his hand, galloping away and disappearing. He was a martial artist. This fall wasn't a big deal. He only suffered some minor injuries. But he was very angry. Who was so bold to pull him down from the horse on the street? He suddenly rushed towards Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao took the whip in her hand and lashed at him, sending him flying. He crashed into the carriage behind. The carriage shook violently. The young girl in the carriage lost her balance and her head hit the wall of the carriage. She cried out in pain, "Ah!" At this moment, the carriage was forced to stop. The man who was sent flying by Gu Jiao crawled up from the ground in fear and knelt by the side of the carriage. He cupped his hands and said, "Your subordinate is guilty. Please punish me, Marquis." Gu Jiao frowned strangely. "Marquis." In the carriage, Marquis Gu supported his daughter who had hit her head. He asked worriedly, "Jinyu, how are you? Are you all right?" Gu Jinyu's forehead was red. This wasn't even a small injury. When Gu Jiao stretched out her hand, any old or new injury would be more serious than this. But who asked Gu Jinyu to be pampered and spoiled? She had never suffered the slightest bit. Never suffered the slightest bit. Gu Jinyu held her forehead and looked at Marquis Gu aggrievedly. Tears welled up in her eyes. "It hurts. Let father take a look." Marquis Gu took Gu Jinyu's hand away. When he saw her red forehead, anger rose in his heart. He lifted the curtain and looked coldly at the guard kneeling on the ground. What happened? The guard pointed at Gu Jiao and said, "This subordinate was leading the way." Who would have thought that she would snatch this subordinate's whip and pull this subordinate down from the horse? She used the whip to whip this subordinate. This subordinate bumped into the Marquis's carriage. When the surrounding people heard the Marquis's name, their legs turned to jelly and they all knelt on the ground. Only Gu Jiao stood there stubbornly and proudly. Marquis Gu's gaze landed coldly on Gu Jiao's face. It was a face that no one wanted to take a second look at. Her eyes were cold and her blood-red birthmark made her skin look unusually fair. There was a hint of unruliness in her coquettish looks. Her gaze was cold and sharp. When she met Marquis Gu's gaze, she did not avoid it at all. She was dressed like a villager from the countryside. She was about the same age as Jinyu, but she had such a terrifying gaze. Marquis Gu said coldly, "You have guts." Whether it was beating up his guard on the streets or not kneeling to him, she was too audacious. Gu Jiao did not cower because of his reprimand. She held the whip and walked forward. The guard stood up and pulled out the sword at his waist to stop her. Gu Jiao did not even lift her eyelids. With one whip, she slapped his sword back into the scabbard. Everyone was stunned. Marquis Gu was also stunned. Gu Jiao came to the side of the carriage. Everyone crowded around her, but her expression did not change. She stretched out her hand to Marquis Gu. Marquis Gu frowned. "What are you doing?" Gu Jiao said mildly, "The jar is 50 copper coins, the rock sugar pork knuckle is 60 copper coins, the braised lion's head is 40 copper coins. I also want the shop to make another set. The compensation for the delay is 100 copper coins. The total is 250. Marquis Gu. He felt that he had been scolded. Marquis Gu looked at the mess on the ground, then looked at the guard who caused the trouble. The guard lowered his head guiltily. Marquis Gu understood everything. Marquis Gu snorted coldly, "My man is in the wrong, but little girl, aren't you too arrogant? Aren't you afraid that I will sentence you to death?" Gu Jiao looked at him, as if she was seriously considering his words. After a while, she said, 249 copper coins. Marquis Gu was confused. What was going on? Gu Jinyu recognized Gu Jiao. She tugged at Marquis Gu's sleeve and shook her head slightly at him. Marquis Gu frowned and said to Gu Jiao, "My daughter has pleaded for you, so I will spare you." With that, he threw a silver ingot to Gu Jiao and lowered the curtain to let the coachman drive the carriage away. Gu Jiao said 249 copper coins. so she only asked for 249 copper coins. He had given too much. Gu Jiao broke off a small piece of the silver ingot and casually threw the rest back into his carriage. The silver ingot hit Marquis Gu's head squarely, creating a huge bruise on his head. Marquis Gu. Marquis Gu. Digression. Marquis Gu. Didn't your father teach you not to throw things around? Jiao Jiao. My father is dead. Marquis Gu, achoo. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with a deeper meaning that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_826/699575150. HTML Genius memorized the website address in a second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website, m. zhbqg.com. Chapter 65. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are read for free. Novels with a deeper meaning that cannot be found online are all available here. Marquis Gu was unable to restrain his anger. The veins on his resolute and handsome face were throbbing. Just as he was about to get someone to capture the girl and punish her, a guard from the Marquis's residence came over on a horse. Reporting to the Marquis, something has happened to the young master. Marquis Gu could not be bothered to find trouble with Gu Jiao. He hurriedly got the guard to lead the way and rushed to the location of his son's accident. Gu Yan's carriage had overturned halfway. Although the secret guard had managed to stabilize the carriage in time and did not let it fall to the ground, it was still heavily tilted and Gu Yan fell. Gu Yan's body was even weaker than a child's. No one in the residence had ever dared to let him touch or knock himself. Marquis Gu was extremely nervous the entire way. However, when he saw Gu Yan, he realized that Gu Yan was completely fine. Gu Yan sat on a small stool and stretched out his long legs, leisurely basking in the sun. Younger brother. Gu Jinyu lifted her skirt and alighted from the carriage. She knelt down in front of Gu Yan and held his hand. Are you all right? Marquis Gu walked forward with a strange expression and looked steadily at his son. Are you feeling unwell anywhere? Gu Yan calmly replied, I won't die. Marquis Gu had learned from the letter that his son was much better. He had been suspicious, but now that he saw it, he realized that it was true. The carriage had overturned and he was actually fine. This would have been impossible in the past. Marquis Gu temporarily relaxed and let his son sit in his carriage. Father and son were not on good terms. After getting on the carriage, neither of them spoke. Only Gu Jinyu spoke occasionally to break the awkward atmosphere in the carriage. There was a big bump on Marquis Gu's forehead from the silver. Gu Yan just stared straight at his big bump. Gu Jinyu thought that his younger brother was worried about his father and hurriedly explained, Younger brother, you don't know who we met just now. It's that little medical assistant who took your jade ring. Father gave her money but she didn't want it. Look at how she smashed father. She smashed it. Gu Yan's eyes widened. Okay. Gu Jinyu nodded. Gu Yan was suddenly amused. He did not hide his gloating at all. Marquis Gu was so angry that he wanted to beat him up. If he wasn't his biological son, he would have killed him long ago. Outside, he had been angered half to death by a wild girl. Now that he had returned, his son was angered half to death. He just couldn't understand why this was happening. Did they discuss this beforehand? The carriage soon arrived at the hot spring villa. Everyone in the manor knew that the Marquis was coming. They all looked happy, as if the new year was coming again. It was no wonder that they were so excited. The Marquis worked in the capital and rarely came to the villa. Only the Marquise stayed here with the young master all year round. As for the young miss, she ran between the two places. She lived in the villa for a period of time and in the capital for a period of time. The kitchen prepared a table of dishes to welcome the Marquis Gu. It was rare for the family of 4 to gather together for a meal. After the meal, Gu Jinyu pulled his younger brother back to their rooms, leaving only the Marquis Gu in the Marquise's room. When the children were in front of them, the two were as loving as before. But once the two children left, Yao Shi's smile faded slightly. It's late. The Marquis should rest. I will have someone prepare a room. Marquis Gu pulled her hand and gently asked in a low voice, Are you still angry at me? Yao Shi turned her face. How could I dare be angry at the Marquis? Marquis, stop joking. Marquis Gu looked at her lovingly and said in shame, It's my fault. I shouldn't have not come to see you for so long, but I really couldn't leave. You also know the situation in the capital. The princes have all grown up, and His Majesty is in his prime. Yao Shi interrupted him. The Marquis shouldn't talk about the matters of the court with a young woman like me. I don't understand. For the Marquis to suddenly come to the manor, is there a reason? Marquis Gu wanted to speak but stopped. Of course there was a reason. It was just that he wasn't sure if he should tell her about it so early. Marquis Gu said without any change in expression, I found a famous doctor in the capital and brought him to treat Yen Er's illness. Yao Shi said, Yen Er's condition is much better. Marquis Gu said, I know. Jin Yu has already told me. The doctor of Rejuvenation Hall is very skilled. Yen Er's condition has improved greatly. However, they don't have the confidence to cure Yen Er, right? With more doctors looking, there is more hope. On this point, Yao Shi agreed with Marquis Gu. Marquis Gu hugged his wife from behind and gently said into her ear, I'll come over later. Leave the door open for me. Yao Shi lowered her eyes and agreed. She then opened the curtain and entered the inner room. Marquis Gu looked at his wife's distant back and sighed helplessly. Marquis Gu went to the study and called Dr. Zhuge, who had been waiting for a long time, to go to Gu Yan's room. Gu Yan was already asleep. Marquis Gu did not wake him up. After dismissing everyone, he left Dr. Zhuge in the room. The reason why Marquis Gu was so cautious was because Dr. Zhuge's identity was a bit special. He could not let others find out that he had left the capital. Even more so, he could not let others know that he had dealings with Marquis Ding An's manor. Marquis Gu coldly looked at Dr. Zhuge. Your disciple treated this Marquis's son's illness. Afterwards, he said some disgraceful words to this Marquis. This Marquis hopes that you understand that this Marquis is not someone who is easy to fool. Never try to fool this prince. This lowly one does not dare. Dr. Zhuge calmly said. Marquis Gu looked at him deeply and moved to the side of the bed. He used a silver needle to take a drop of blood from Gu Yan's finger. Afterwards, the two of them went to Gu Jin Yu's room. Marquis Gu said, Jin Yu, the doctor wants to take a drop of blood from your finger. Oh, is it still for younger brother this time? As early as a few months ago, a doctor had come to the villa to take a drop of blood from her finger, saying that it could be used for younger brother. Yes, it's still for medicinal purposes. Marquis Gu's expression did not change as he said. Gu Jinyu was afraid of pain, but for her younger brother, she endured it. She closed her eyes and extended her hand. Doctor, take it. Dr. Zhuge took a drop of blood from her finger. Gu Jinyu was in so much pain that her eyes brimmed with tears. Marquis Gu dotingly comforted his daughter, then went to the study to wait for news. About a quarter of an hour later, Dr. Zhuge returned with a complicated expression. How is it? Marquis Gu anxiously asked. Dr. Zhuge looked straight into Marquis Gu's eyes and said, Your son's and your daughter's blood cannot mix. They are not blood-related siblings. Even though he had mentally prepared himself, hearing these words come out of Dr. Zhuge's mouth was like a bolt from the blue. Marquis Gu's entire body froze on the spot. Gu Yan did not need to be said. He was definitely his biological son. That boy was similar to him in every way. Even his bad temper was the same. Except for his pair of eyes, he took after his mother. On the other hand, Gu Jinyu did not resemble him and Yao Shi from a young age. The more they grew up, the more they did not resemble each other. It was not that Marquis Gu had not wondered before. If the two children were born one after the other, Marquis Gu would definitely be suspicious. But they were twins. If one was his biological son, could the other be a fake? He did not even think of the possibility of the wrong child being born. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are read for free. Novels with a deeper meaning that cannot be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_89642826826/699188083. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website, zhbqg.com. Chapter 66. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. Marquis Gu was stunned for a long time before he found his voice. Don't tell anyone about this, especially Madam. This Marquis doesn't want her to be affected in any way. Dr. Zhuge said, as long as Marquis can let go of my useless disciple, I will keep my mouth shut for the rest of my life. However, is Marquis certain that Madam gave birth to boy-girl twins? This Marquis is certain. Madam was awake when she gave birth. Then there's only one possibility. Wrong birth. Marquis Gu pondered for a moment and ordered, stay in the manor for now. This Marquis will call you if there's anything. Dr. Zhuge bowed. I'm at Marquis's command at any time. You can leave. Yes. After Dr. Zhuge left, Marquis Gu fell into a chair. His strength seemed to have been sucked out and his mind was numb. The night in the manor was frighteningly quiet. The cold moonlight fell silently on the ground and shone on the trees and flowers in the courtyard. There was no doubt that the child was swapped. As for how it happened, he could only ask the servants who accompanied Madame Yao when she gave birth. It was a pity that after so many years, those people were no longer in the manor. It was very difficult to find them. Moreover, he wasn't sure if that child was still alive. It would be a lie to say that he didn't care, but it would also be a lie to say that he cared so much that he didn't hesitate. For his son's illness, Madame Yao had already exhausted her body. He had to consider whether Madame Yao could bear the blow of the truth. If telling her would kill her, then he would rather keep the truth to himself for the rest of his life. At the same time, he had to consider Jin Yu's situation. Jin Yu was the child he raised in the palm of his hand. He loved him more than he loved his 4 sons. He didn't want Jin Yu to be hurt in the slightest. Finally, there was that child. He still hadn't decided whether to recognize that child or not, but no matter what, he had to find him. He was Gu Yan's only medicine. He could save Gu Yan's life. Servants. Marquis. Call Nurse Fong over. Yes. Senior Servant Fong was the senior servant in charge of the farmstead, and she was also Yao Shi's concubine. When Yao Shi's younger brother got married, Yao Shi went to the Yao family in Qing City without knowing that she was pregnant. She stayed with the Yao family for half a year before returning to the capital. She had originally planned to return to the capital to wait for the delivery, but unexpectedly, it flared up midway. At that time, Senior Servant Fong wasn't by Yao Shi's side, but Senior Servant Fong still knew more about what happened that year than the average person. Senior Servant Fong entered the room and bowed to Marquis Gu. Master, you were looking for this servant? Marquis Gu raised his hand. There was no light in the room. His expression was shrouded in the darkness of the night, half bright and half dark by the moonlight. Marquis Gu asked, "Which temple did Madame give birth in?" Nanny Fong was slightly surprised. "Marquis, why are you suddenly asking about this?" Marquis Gu said faintly, "I heard that Madame has been going to that temple to pray to the Bodhisattva recently. Yen Er's illness has improved because of that. I plan to burn incense at the temple another day." Nanny Fong felt very strange. The Marquis's household had never believed in Buddhism, so why did they suddenly propose to go to the temple to offer incense? On the other side, after Gu Jiao took the money, she found a shop to make a new batch of rock sugar pork knuckles and braised meatballs. She still put them in jars. After that, she went to the cloth shop to buy a few pairs of shoes and a few sets of clothes. There were too many things that her small basket couldn't hold, so she wrapped 2 large bundles. Xiao Lulang knew that she would come to town today, and as long as she came to town, she would definitely come to pick him up from school. He told second Uncle Luo to wait. After waiting for almost an hour, even Gu Xiaoshun was wondering if his older sister had already gone back. Then, Gu Jiao appeared. Her body was small, but the bundle was astonishingly large. It almost covered her entire body. She poked her small head out from the side of the bundle with difficulty. Her small face was red and she was gasping for breath. She wasn't tired, she was suffocating. The 3 hurriedly went to help her carry the bundle and put it on the ox cart. After sitting down, Gu Xiaoshun urged, "Second Uncle Luo, let's hurry back to the village. I'm starving." Second Uncle Luo smiled. "Okay." Gu Jiao wiped the sweat from her forehead. "Why haven't you left yet?" Gu Xiaoshun said, "We were waiting for you. Brother-in-law said that you would come." Gu Jiao looked at Xiao Lulang and said seriously, "You've waited for so long. Aren't you afraid that I've already gone back?" Why did he have to wait for her? "Really?" Xiao Lulang said lightly. "Then why did you come so late? Aren't you afraid that we've already left?" It wasn't on the way from the cloth shop. She had to take a detour to see if he was waiting for her. "Really?" Gu Xiaoshun rubbed her stomach and muttered, "I'm suddenly full." "Why?" When they arrived home, little Jing Kong had been waiting for a long time at the door. The old lady told him to count from 1 to 100 and Jiao Jiao would come back. After counting many hundreds, the ox cart finally entered the village. He ran out of the room. "Jiao Jiao! Jiao Jiao!" He liked to call Jiao Jiao, so Gu Jiao took after him. Seeing the little dumpling running towards her, she was about to remind him not to fall, but he fell. He was probably used to falling, so he didn't forget to hold his little bald head and rolled to Gu Jiao's feet like a little winter melon. Gu Xiaoshun carried the cloth bundle, so Gu Jiao's hands were free. She pulled little Jing Kong up and patted the dust off his body. "Does it hurt?" Little Jing Kong shook his head. "No. It doesn't hurt. I'm very good at wrestling." Gu Jiao thought, wrestling is considered good, but wrestling yourself is considered bad. "Greet them." Gu Jiao pointed at Xiao Lulang and Gu Xiaoshun behind her. Little Jing Kong was a polite child, so he obediently called them brother-in-law and brother Xiaoshun. Although he didn't want to call them that. Gu Jiao held little Jing Kong's hand and went home. Little Jing Kong was jumping and jumping happily. When they arrived home, little Jing Kong went to the kitchen and brought back a few big roasted sweet potatoes. "Jiao Jiao, eat sweet potatoes. I roasted them." In fact, the sweet potatoes were brought by Xue Ningxiang when she came to cook at noon. Xue Ningxiang started the fire, and the sweet potatoes were also washed by Xue Ningxiang. Little Jing Kong just put the washed sweet potatoes into the stove with a pair of tongs. Even after roasting them, Xue Ningxiang pulled them out. But in little Jing Kong's opinion, he completed the most important step of roasting sweet potatoes, roasting. So, these were the sweet potatoes he roasted. Sister Xue's steps were called holding the sweet potatoes, washing the sweet potatoes, and pulling the sweet potatoes. Gu Jiao gave him face and tasted it. "Is it delicious? Is it delicious? Is it delicious?" Little Jing Kong tilted his head and smacked. "Yes, it's delicious. It was just a little cold." She didn't mind eating it. Xiaoshun was also fine, but Xiao Liulong's stomach was delicate, so he might have a stomachache. Gu Jiao took the roasted sweet potatoes to the kitchen to heat them up. Then, she took out 2 bowls, filled them with rock sugar pork knuckle and braised lion's head, and sent them to Xuaningxiang. Xuaningxiang gave her a few boiled eggs and steamed buns in return. When Gu Jiao came back, little Jing Kong had already set up the bowls and chopsticks. The family of 5 sat down to eat. Little Jing Kong waited obediently to be fed. Gu Jiao picked up a piece of fat pork knuckle and put it into his bowl. Little Jing Kong was so excited that he screamed and grabbed his chopsticks to pick up the meat. But before he could eat it, he only smelled it for a short while. Then, his eyes rolled back and he fell backward with a thud. He fell on the ground with his arms and legs spread out. His head was tilted and his tongue was out. He was unconscious. Gu Jiao. In this world, there are really people who are dizzy with meat. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels will be read for free. There are all kinds of novels that you can't find online. https://www.zhhbqg.com/896428266/698787771. HTML Genius memorized the website's address in 1 second. www.zhhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website, zhhbqg.com. Chapter 67. Please scan the QR code below to download the app for more interesting content. The novel was updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels were read for free. There were all kinds of novels that couldn't be found online. Was there something wrong with his body? Gu Jiao carried him back to his room and checked on him. There was nothing wrong with him. She had seen people who were dizzy with blood and needles, but this was the first time she saw someone who was dizzy with meat. The rest of the people were also surprised, but they knew that he was fine when they heard that he was still snoring. When little Jing Kong woke up, the meat on the table was gone. He leaned on the table and cried, "My meat! My meat! My meat!" Everyone thought, "It's not that we don't want to leave meat for you, but you can't eat it." Gu Jiao was not good at coaxing people. She had coaxed the most powerful people in the world, so she was not afraid of a little kid. Old Madam coaxed him for a while. Little Jing Kong went out of Old Madam's room and went to Gu Jiao's room. He said to Gu Jiao while sobbing, "The meat said that it doesn't want to be eaten by me." Gu Jiao was stunned. It doesn't want to be eaten by you." Little Jing Kong held back his tears and said firmly, "Great Aunt said that it's because I'm still young. When I grow up, it'll be willing to be eaten by me." Gu Jiao was full of admiration for her great aunt. She could even come up with such an excuse. She must have tricked a lot of people in the past. Old Madam couldn't remember clearly, but she vaguely felt that she had tricked a lot of people, both those who were better than her and those who were not. They were all fooled by her. After Xiao Lulang bathed little Jing Kong went back to Xiao Liulong's, his own room in his pajamas. Gu Jiao washed up and was about to go to bed. At this moment, little Jing Kong came over with a small pillow in his arms. "What's wrong?" Gu Jiao looked at him. "Are you feeling unwell?" Little Jing Kong widened his watery eyes. "My bed said that it doesn't want to sleep with me today." Gu Jiao was stunned. Why did these words sound so familiar? "No, it's just a fallacious theory that I've learned, and you're already drawing inferences from it?" Gu Jiao crossed her arms. "Your bed didn't say that." Little Jing Kong, "It does." Gu Jiao said, "It doesn't. It can't talk." Little Jing Kong straightened his body and said, "Jiao Jiao, how do you know that it can't talk? If you can talk about my meat, then you can talk about my bed too." Gu Jiao, "I actually had no way to refute that." Gu Jiao went to look for the old lady with a serious face. Whoever instilled the twisted logic in him would have to deal with him. The old lady bolted the door and lay on the bed. She covered her head with the quilt and said, "I'm asleep." "He's asleep. Gu Jiao. It's not right for you to be so irresponsible. You didn't even provide after-sale service after fooling him." Gu Jiao wouldn't force little Jing Kong. She finally brought him back to her room. During this time, Xiao Lulang didn't say a single word. Little Jing Kong waved at Xiao Lulang with a victorious expression. "You can sleep in the west room tonight. Don't miss me too much." Little Jing Kong was so happy that he jumped on Gu Jiao's bed with a pillow for a long time. After he was tired, he fell asleep. However, if little Jing Kong thought that he could sleep with Gu Jiao for the whole night, he was too naive. As soon as he fell asleep, Xiao Lulang came over with his crutch and carried him back to the west room without saying a word. There was no such thing as a deep trap, only a deeper one. Your brother-in-law is still your brother-in-law. When little Jing Kong woke up and found himself lying on the bed in the west room, he was sad as expected. He felt that he had slept in vain. Of course, he didn't think that Jiao Jiao didn't want him. He could easily guess that someone had stolen him back to her room. Little Jing Kong couldn't hold it in anymore no matter how sensible he was. He raised his head, kicked his legs and wailed, "Bad brother-in-law! Bad brother-in-law! He stole a child! He stole me here in the middle of the night! He's a human trafficker!" The old lady, who was eating melon seeds in the central room, trembled and spilled the seeds. "Human trafficker? Is that how you use it?" Xiao Lulang went to school and Gu Jiao went to pick mountain products. Only little Jing Kong and the old lady were left at home. The old lady tried to fool little Jing Kong again. However, this time, it wasn't easy to fool him anymore. "I want it to be dark. I want it to be dark. It will be dark at night. No, no. I want it to be now. It's dark now." Wah, sensible children usually don't cry, but most people can't handle it when they cry. Little Jing Kong cried so loudly that all the villagers rushed over. They looked at him suspiciously as if the old lady was torturing the little monk at home. The old lady was having a headache. The old lady, who didn't do the after-sale service last night, finally had to shoulder everything by herself. Gu Jiao didn't know that little Jing Kong broke down and cried after he woke up. She had no experience in raising a child. She didn't have any experience in raising a child since she was young. If she was picking mushrooms at the back of the mountain, she would have heard little Jing Kong's cries. However, she went a little far today and went to the other side of the mountain to pick spring bamboo shoots. When she adopted little Jing Kong, she found that there were spring bamboo shoots in the forest near the temple. When she was selling mountain products at the market, someone used winter bamboo shoots to exchange for 2 handfuls of fungus. She used the winter bamboo shoots to make chicken soup, and Xiao Lulang drank it all. There were no more winter bamboo shoots, but the spring bamboo shoots tasted good. The path in the forest was difficult to walk on, so not many people came to dig for bamboo shoots. Gu Jiao quickly filled up the small basket. Just as she was about to go down the mountain, she heard a painful groan from the depths of the forest. Gu Jiao's first reaction was that a villager was injured. She didn't hesitate and walked into the depths of the forest. When she arrived at the scene, she was surprised to see a man falling into a 2-meter deep trap. The trap looked familiar. It seemed that she dug it last year. She had forgotten about the trap because she didn't find any prey. She didn't expect that after so long, she didn't catch any prey, but a living person fell into the trap. What kind of living person dared to come to such a deep forest? Gu Jiao stuck her head out and looked into the deep pit. The man felt that the light above him dimmed, so he immediately raised his head. Their eyes met, and both of them were stunned. "It's you? It's you?" They spoke in unison. "Gu Jiao, isn't this the stinky Marquis who let his guards run amok on the streets, knocked over her things, and almost reneged on the debt? Marquis Gu, isn't this the stinky girl who beat up his guards on the streets, extorted money from him, and even smashed his head?" Marquis Gu's face immediately turned cold, and the trace of joy that rose from the bottom of his heart disappeared completely. "Gu Jiao, ha ha ha. Gu Jiao turned around and left. She wasn't going to save this person. Digression, Little Jing Kong. Ha ha ha. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found on the internet are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_896428266/698455515. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website, m. zhbqg.com. Chapter 68. The newest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that cannot be found online are all available here. Marquis Gu watched Gu Jiao appear and watched Gu Jiao leave. The anger in his heart began to burn. "Stop right there," he sternly shouted. "Ah, if you tell me to stop, then I will stop. Who are you to me?" Gu Jiao left in a carefree manner. She did not hesitate at all because of his identity or his anger. Marquis Gu had lived for most of his life, but he had never seen such an arrogant person. He had already learned of her status from his daughter. She was return of Spring Hall's little medicine boy. Her master, Dr. Li, had treated Yen well. Because of this, he decided to let bygones be bygones for her offense in town. But she was great. She watched him die in the mountains and did not save him. Especially what kind of look she had just now. A lowly life dared to look down on a country's marquis. She was tired of living. She was blatantly challenging the authority of Marquis Ding En. Wait until he left. He would definitely punish her for her disrespect. If she did not save him, then she would not save him. He could also leave by himself. A war. From the depths of the forest came the sound of a wolf's howl. Generally speaking, adult wolves would not howl during the day. This was a young wolf and did not know how to properly control its wolf nature. It let out a sharp howl. It should be hungry. If nothing unexpected happened, its family's lord wolf would soon come out to look for food. Gu Jiao sat down under a large tree nearby and began to wait for the wolf to appear. Marquis Gu pulled out a dagger from the trap. His figure was tall and the trap was not deep for him. The difficult part was that his foot was caught in the trap. He tried to use the dagger to pry open the trap, but it did not seem to be a normal trap. He tried for a long time, but it did not budge in the slightest. "I can't pry it open." Gu Jiao took out her water skin and calmly drank a mouthful of water. The trap she made, it would be strange if it could be opened so easily. Marquis Gu frowned. "You didn't leave? What? Are you waiting to laugh at me?" Gu Jiao said calmly, "You're not funny, and you're not good-looking." Marquis Gu was speechless. Was that what he meant? Also, what did she mean by he was not good-looking? It was not that Marquis Gu was arrogant. It was just that Marquis Gu's appearance had overshadowed his talent since he was young. Even when he had a family and a career, the most talked-about thing was still his face. This was the first time someone had said that he was ugly. Marquis Gu was a man who didn't care about appearances. But hearing Gu Jiao's words, he felt a little uncomfortable. The wolf cub howled a few more times. The wild wolves should be coming soon. He didn't think that a little girl had the ability to deal with one or even several adult wild wolves. He said sternly, "What are you waiting for? Hurry up and think of a way to pull me up. When the wolf comes, you won't be able to survive." "Wait," Gu Jiao said. What were they waiting for? If he waited any longer, the wolves would really come. Marquis Gu's heart was burning with anxiety. Even if he was someone who knew martial arts, he couldn't guarantee that he would still be able to kill an adult wild wolf when his foot was caught in the trap. Rustling sounds came from the bushes. The wolf was coming. Gu Jiao climbed up the tree. Marquis Gu saw that she climbed up the tree without saying anything and was so angry that his heart ached. Would it kill her to climb up the tree after saving him? Leaving him alone in the trap? Was she waiting to sacrifice the wolf? As expected, the wolf discovered Marquis Gu in the trap. Its eyes were glowing green and it opened its bloody mouth, saliva dripping onto the ground. Marquis Gu gripped the dagger in his hand tightly. The wolf jumped into the trap with a whoosh and slapped Marquis Gu's dagger away with its paw. It then bit viciously towards Marquis Gu's neck. At the critical moment, a thin figure descended from the sky and grabbed the wolf's head. With a sickle, she slit its throat. Fresh blood splattered all over Marquis Gu's face. Marquis Gu was completely dumbfounded. At that moment, he really thought that he was going to die. When the blood spurted out, his first thought was that it was his own. It was only when the wolf was thrown to the ground by Gu Jiao that he realized that he was saved. Gu Jiao clapped her hands and bent down to use the sickle to pry open the trap. Marquis Gu looked at the calm and composed Gu Jiao and for a moment, he thought that his eyes were playing tricks on him. Did this lass really kill a wolf? Why did she look like she had chopped up a bag of cabbage? When Gu Jiao went on a mission in her previous life, there were many scarier things than wolves. If she couldn't even kill a wolf, Qian Baihe would have died in the mission. Gu Jiao carried the wolf with one hand and the rope hanging from the tree with the other. She walked out of the trap in a few steps. "Do you want to come up?" Gu Jiao threw the rope to him. Marquis Gu wouldn't admit that he was shocked by this lass. He grabbed the rope in a daze and let Gu Jiao pull him up. Gu Jiao's trap wasn't sharp. It was just a tight grip. But his other leg was sprained and swollen. He sat on the ground for a long time before he regained his senses. "Just now, did you use me as bait?" Gu Jiao didn't say anything. Marquis Gu gritted his teeth. "Tell me, did you use me as bait?" Gu Jiao looked at him frankly. "In that situation, even if you didn't act as bait, you would still be caught. Moreover, it was easier for me to kill it in the trap. If we were on flat ground, you would definitely be bitten twice." Marquis Gu was so angry that his teeth chattered. "So you used me as bait? You vicious wild girl." Gu Jiao said, "I'm not a wild girl. I have parents." Marquis Gu sneered. "Is that so? Then where is your father?" Gu Jiao thought for a while and said seriously, "He can't come. But you can go and find him." Marquis Gu rolled up his sleeves. "Okay, tell me, where is he?" It was the father's fault if the child didn't teach him well. He wanted to see what kind of bastard gave birth to such a vicious lass. Gu Jiao glanced at his feet. "He's underground." Marquis Gu. Gu Jiao packed her things and prepared to go down the mountain. Marquis Gu said coldly, "You're just going to leave me here without a care?" Gu Jiao looked at him strangely. "Who are you to me? Why should I care about you?" Marquis Gu's heart hurt again. He finally realized that this lass was inexperienced and didn't know how much power a marquis had. As the saying goes, newborn calves are not afraid of tigers. Marquis Gu said seriously, "Fortunately, I'm not a bloodthirsty person. Otherwise, you would be dead." Gu Jiao looked at him deeply and nodded. "You're really lucky. She would definitely do a clean job of killing people who wanted to kill her." "Marquis Gu, why do I feel a chill on the back of my neck? Do you know how to get to the temple nearby?" Marquis Gu asked. "I do," Gu Jiao said. "Lead the way," Marquis Gu ordered. Gu Jiao looked at the wolf's corpse on the ground with hesitation. Marquis Gu knew that she couldn't bear to part with the wolf. This wolf could be sold for a lot of money in the market. It was a considerable amount of wealth for a poor farmer. He said impatiently, "I'll buy it." Gu Jiao didn't refuse. 20 taels. Marquis Gu casually handed her a 20 taels banknote. "Can we go now?" Gu Jiao kept the banknote and looked at the wolf's corpse again. What do you plan to do with it? Marquis Gu said without hesitation. Throw it away. Are you sure you want to throw it away? Gu Jiao looked at him doubtfully. Marquis Gu said disdainfully, It's just a wolf. Can't I afford to throw it away? Hurry up and lead the way. Oh. Gu Jiao bent down and easily picked up the wolf and put it on her shoulder. You've already thrown it away. I picked it up. You're not allowed to ask me for it. Marquis Gu. Digression. Marquis Gu's psychological shadow is 23,333. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642/826/698055585. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in a second. www.zhbqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 69. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are read for free. Novels that can't be found on the internet are all available here. Why didn't you say that you could carry it? Why did you look so hesitant? Were you trying to decide which hand to carry it with? Marquis Gu felt that if he died young, it would be because of this brat. Thinking about how gentle and cute his daughter was, and looking at this brat, there wasn't a single virgin on her body. Fortunately, she wasn't his daughter. Gu Jiao didn't know anything about Marquis Gu's inner thoughts. She carried the wolf and walked in front, and soon they were out of the forest. She came to the steps and pointed at the top of the steps. Go up the steps and you'll see the temple. After saying that, she turned and walked up the mountain. Marquis Gu called out to her, Wait, you're not bringing me up? Gu Jiao stopped and turned to look at him strangely. Why should I bring you up? You. Marquis Gu's breath stagnated and he took a deep breath. He asked with a fake smile, Why do you think I bought your wolf? I didn't want it and threw it away on the spot? Gu Jiao thought for a while and said seriously, Because you're stupid and have a lot of money? Marquis Gu was about to vomit blood. What kind of infuriating brat is this? Originally, he thought that Gu Yen was quite infuriating, but after seeing this brat, he started to think that his youngest son was exceptionally cute. In the end, Marquis Gu couldn't force Gu Jiao to lead the way for him. In fact, when he saw the steps, he already knew how to go up the mountain. It was just that he didn't want to lose face and wanted to order this brat around, but this brat didn't listen to him. Marquis Gu was angry, but he couldn't really lay his hands on this brat, especially when he might not be able to beat her. Don't let me see you again, or I'll settle all the old and new debts with you. Gu Jiao didn't even bother with him. She turned around and leisurely went down the mountain. Marquis Gu clutched his chest that was about to explode. After calming himself down, he limped up the mountain. He went straight to the abbot and revealed his identity. The abbot looked at the blood-stained man in front of him and almost thought that he was a bandit at the end of his road. He was about to call for his disciples to form the 18 Arhats formation to exterminate the bandit. So it was the Marquis of Ding En. This old monk has not gone out to meet you, the abbot said in embarrassment. The Marchioness was a frequent visitor to the temple, but this was the first time Marquis Gu had come, so the abbot did not recognize him. Marquis Gu said unhurriedly, You don't have to be so courteous, abbot. I'm here today because I have something I want to ask abbot. The abbot looked behind him. Did the Marquis come alone? Marquis Gu replied, That's right. If he hadn't come alone, how could he have gotten lost? In fact, it was also his fault for not wanting to dismount. When he reached the foot of the mountain, he inquired about the way up. But because he was riding a horse, it was not convenient for him to walk on the steps, so he planned to go through the forest. Unexpectedly, he encountered a trap. Not only was he trapped, his horse also ran away. In the end, he had to obediently walk up the mountain. The abbot realized the importance of this matter and had his disciples guard the door, not allowing anyone to approach. "The Marquis can speak now," Marquis Gu bluntly said. "My wife gave birth in the temple." This Marquis wants to ask, were there any other women who gave birth in the temple that night? An ominous premonition rose in the abbot's heart. Why does the Marquis ask this? Marquis Gu calmly said, "Abbot does not need to know why this Marquis asked this. You only need to answer this Marquis, yes or no." The abbot muttered to himself for a moment and squeezed the prayer beads in his hand. "Yes." Marquis Gu's heart tightened. "Does abbot know where the child is now?" The abbot shook his head. "I don't know. That benefactor only came once and did not leave her name. She left the mountain 2 days after giving birth. It was a daughter." Marquis Gu was not surprised that it was a daughter. After all, if it wasn't, it would be impossible to carry the wrong child. Thinking of something, he asked again, "Did that woman look like she came from a wealthy family?" The abbot shook his head again. "No, there were patches on her clothes." He only saw that benefactor from afar and did not even see her appearance clearly. He only vaguely remembered that she was wearing very simple clothes. There were so many pilgrims in the temple, but why did he have an impression of that benefactor? It was mainly because she came up the mountain to offer incense with a big belly. No one expected that it would rain heavily in the afternoon. She and the Marquis had to stay in the temple for the night. It was not clear who had acted up first. After all, the Marquis had someone to serve her. The benefactor was alone in the meditation room. When the midwife came over, they found that she was about to give birth. It was an extremely chaotic night, especially when the abbot was tricked into drinking wine. The abbot collected his thoughts and put his palms together. "Amitabha," he said. Marquis Gu was silent. He had thought that the child might not have been taken away by an aristocratic family like theirs, but he did not expect that it would be a family so poor that they had to wear patches. He did not dare to think about what kind of child that kind of family would raise. Just look at Jinyu. To be raised so well in the Marquis household, it could be seen that one's birth was not the most important, but the family they grew up in was. A child who grew up in the countryside, could she really become a respectable daughter of the Marquis household? However, that child's situation was indeed tragic. In any case, she was the blood of the Marquis household. Even if he did not recognize her in the future, he would not treat her unfairly. He would make it up to her in other ways. After finishing his conversation with the abbot, Marquis Gu stood up and bid farewell. "Abbot, please do not tell anyone that I came to the temple." Although the abbot did not know why Marquis Gu was secretly investigating the benefactor's child, he still nodded in agreement. Marquis Gu returned home. Not having a horse was an extremely torturous matter, especially when one of his feet was swollen like a pig's trotter. After much difficulty, he finally reached the foot of the mountain. His last bit of strength had been squeezed out. He sat on the last step, panting. Suddenly, he felt the light above his head darken, as if a huge creature was coming to envelop him. He pressed down on the dagger at his waist and raised his head vigilantly. He saw a tall and strong horse. This horse looked a little familiar. Wait, wasn't this the horse he had lost? The next second, he saw a person sitting on the horse. In front of that person was a wolf. "It's you." Marquis Gu was so shocked that he stood up. It was Gu Jiao's first time riding an ancient horse. It was quite refreshing. Her small body sitting on a tall horse instantly had a domineering feeling of a king looking down on the world. She pulled on the reins in her hands and looked down at Marquis Gu. She nodded seriously and said, "Yes, it's me." Marquis Gu looked at her horse strangely. "Where did you get this horse?" Gu Jiao said honestly, "I picked it up." Marquis Gu's face was full of black lines. "You can even pick up a horse? What kind of luck is this?" The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that you can't find online are all available here. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_826/697698939. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhhbqg.com Biku mobile reading website, zhhbqg.com. Chapter 70. The newest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels that can't be found online are all available here. This is my horse, Marquis Gu said seriously. Gu Jiao looked at him suspiciously, as if trying to determine if his words were true or false. Marquis Gu's heart trembled under her gaze, and he suddenly remembered the wolf. He hurriedly said, "I didn't throw it away, I accidentally lost it." Although lost things can be picked up, if the owner asks for it, it must be returned. Otherwise, it would be considered a crime of embezzlement. Madame Zhou and Madame Lu, who had picked up Little Master Qin's money and refused to return it, had suffered this loss. As a result, they had been beaten in the yamen and fined a large amount of money. Of course, Marquis Gu didn't know about the Gu family's mistake, but he felt that he should be able to scare a little girl. "If you don't return it to me, you will be beaten by the county magistrate." No matter how powerful she was still a country girl. What were country people most afraid of? Of course it was the officials. Although he was a marquis, he didn't say what marquis he was. She didn't know and wasn't afraid. But the county magistrate was different. He was a true local snake. No country person wasn't afraid of him. When Gu Jiao heard his words, she didn't immediately refute him. Marquis Gu felt that there was a chance. In the next second, he heard her ask him, "How can you prove that this is your horse?" Marquis Gu was stunned. Yes, how could he prove it? In order to keep a low profile, he didn't ride his own Fergana horse. Instead, he chose a guard's horse. He even deliberately erased the Marquis Fu's insignia on the saddle. Horseshoe. This is what the army's war horses are made with. It's completely different from the horseshoes on the market. Marquis Gu finally thought of a piece of evidence. Unexpectedly, Gu Jiao said, "I haven't seen other horseshoes. How do I know if it's just your side of the story?" Marquis Gu choked. This was a scholar meeting a soldier. He couldn't explain himself. Gu Jiao said impartially, "How about this? You go to the yamen and report the case. If the county magistrate says the horse is yours, then I'll return it to you." How many heads does the magistrate have? Does he dare to not award the horse to him? But the problem was, he was the dignified Marquis of Zhaodu. How could he run to a small county yamen to report the loss of a horse? What was going on? Did he, the Marquis of Ding'an, lack a horse? How poor was he? Was she so poor that she didn't even have anything to eat? Or was she so poor that she had to beg on the streets? How could she compete with a country bumpkin for a horse that she had picked up on the way? Especially since it was an ordinary horse that wasn't very expensive. Did he not care about his reputation? Gu Jiao glanced at him and pondered for a moment before saying, "If you really want it, I can sell it to you." Alas, it wasn't easy for me to pick it up. What's so difficult about you? Didn't it carry you all the way here? You don't even have the strength to walk. He wouldn't have to carry the wolf himself. Marquis Gu was infuriated by Gu Jiao. However, he really couldn't walk anymore. He would only be able to hire a carriage when he reached the town. From here to the town was at least 20 to 30 li. He was afraid that he wouldn't be able to walk even if his legs were broken. 50 taels. Gu Jiao said. Marquis Gu's hair stood on end. How can a broken horse be more expensive than a wolf? You're just raising the price. Gu Jiao seriously said, the wolf is not what you need, the horse is. Just as he needed it, he had to raise the price. Marquis Gu was so angry that his liver hurt. In the end, Marquis Gu bought back his horse for 50 taels of silver. It was his own horse. Where could he go to reason with? When Marquis Gu returned to the villa, it was already evening. The light of the setting sun fell on the eaves of the villa, creating a golden glow. Marquis Gu handed the horse over to the palace's guards and strode towards the inner courtyard where the family of 4 lived. He had just reached the entrance when he heard a loud commotion coming from inside. He frowned and stepped over the threshold. He saw that almost all the servants in the courtyard had come. They were hiding behind trees and bushes, not daring to move or walk. And in the corridor his son, little Gu Yen, was lying on a rattan chair that all the servants were looking at. Beside Gu Yen stood Gu Jinyu, who was so angry that her face was pale. Gu Jinyu was hugging a little white rabbit in her arms. Why don't you allow me to raise a rabbit? Gu Jinyu asked unhappily. Gu Yen lazily snorted, I just don't allow you to raise one. Gu Jinyu angrily said, if you have the ability, give me a reason. Gu Yen put a hand behind his head and leisurely said, this is my courtyard. If I say I won't let you raise it, then I won't let you raise it. Gu Jinyu hugged the rabbit and stomped her feet, this is also my courtyard. Gu Yen calmly snorted, your courtyard is in the capital. Gu Jinyu spent half of her time in the capital, unlike Gu Yen who spent most of his time here. Gu Yen naturally thought that this place belonged to him more. The servants did not dare to mediate, nor did they dare to really leave. If they left, if anything happened to the siblings, they would not be able to bear the consequences. The Marquis of Gu more or less understood what was going on. Gu Jinyu had liked cats and dogs since she was young, but Gu Yen was very repulsed. The siblings often quarreled over raising pets. He had always been puzzled. They were fraternal twins and were the closest people in the world. Logically speaking, their relationship should be very good, but Gu Yen never spoke and only bullied Jinyu. Gu Yen did not allow Jinyu to drink Yao Shi's milk. The moment he did, he would wail loudly. He also did not allow Yao Shi to carry Jinyu. He would even punch and kick Jinyu as long as he lay in the cradle. At that time, Gu Yen was just a little munchkin who spat milk bubbles. No one took this to heart. They only thought that it was a child's possessiveness. Later on, when Gu Yen grew up, he did not bully Jinyu like this, but he also did not get close to Jinyu. After knowing Jinyu's background, the things that he could not understand gradually became clear. Gu Yen and his elder sister had been together for 10 months in the mother's womb. They were the closest people in the world, so after Gu Yen was born, he could clearly sense that the baby girl lying beside him was not his elder sister. He wanted his elder sister. Only his elder sister could make him as stable as he was in the mother's womb, but there was a completely unfamiliar baby girl lying beside him. It was no wonder that he always cried so loudly. He wanted his elder sister. Unfortunately, no one understood him. Until he grew up, he did not even remember. But his rejection of Gu Jinyu remained in his bones. The Marquis of Gu felt that this guess was ridiculous, but other than this, he really could not think of a better explanation. The siblings continued to quarrel. Gu Jinyu said aggrievedly, "The little bunny is not noisy or fussy. Why won't you even let me raise this? Can't you be reasonable?" Gu Yen looked up at the sky. "You're being unreasonable." Gu Jinyu bit her lip. "Why should I?" Gu Yen arrogantly raised his brows. "Because I like it." "You." Gu Jinyu's face turned red with anger. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that cannot be found online are all available here. https://www.zhhbqg com/89642_826/697377026. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in a second. www.zhhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website, zhhbqg.com. Chapter 71. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more fully. Millions of novels are free to read. There are all kinds of novels that can't be found online. In the end, Gu Jinyu did not win against Gu Yen. Although she was the only daughter in the family, Gu Yen was the youngest and Gu Yen was indeed not in good health. Seeing Gu Jinyu reluctantly letting someone carry the little rabbit away and Gu Yen proudly raising his eyebrows, Marquis Gu had mixed feelings. Gu Yen was unsociable since he was young. He did not get close to anyone, including Madame Yao. He rejected anyone who was good to Gu Jinyu, but almost no one in the residence was bad to Gu Jinyu. If he did not know the truth, he would have thought that it was all his son's fault. He would not have thought that the most important person in his son's life was missing. His son was the one who was hurt the most. However, even if he thought that it was his son's fault, he had never been harsh on him. He would only make up for Jinyu's grievances. Jinyu's grievances could be made up, but what about his son? If they couldn't give their son something, would that child be able to give it to him? After Gu Jiao went down the mountain, she was not in a hurry to go home. Instead, she carried the wolf to the market and sold it for 18 taels of silver. After that, Gu Jiao went to the academy to fetch Xiao Lulang and Gu Xiaoshun from school. The three of them went back to the village together. The old lady, who had been quarreled by little Jing Kong the whole day, was finally free. She slumped on the rattan chair like a salted fish. She did not have the strength to move at all. She felt that if the two of them did not come back soon, she would simply die on the spot. Little Jing Kong had been waiting for Gu Jiao the whole day, but when Gu Jiao really came back, he ran away again. He closed the door alone and sat on a small bench in the corner. His little face leaned against the wall, looking as pitiful as it could get. Gu Jiao did not understand what happened. She was surprised that she did not see little Jing Kong. Where's Jing Kong? The old lady weakly pointed to the west room. He's angry. He's hiding from you. Gu Jiao was confused. Angry? Who provoked him? The old lady glared at Gu Jiao and Xiao Lulang. You too. Who told you to bring him over in the middle of the night? Who told you to leave before dawn? The first sentence was about Xiao Lulang, and the second sentence was about Gu Jiao. I'm so tired. The old lady didn't want to bother with the couple anymore. Gu Jiao didn't understand at first, but now that old Madame Fu said it, she understood. Gu Jiao went to the west room. Little Jing Kong's ears perked up when he heard that someone was coming, but he did not turn around. Gu Jiao came up behind him and bent down to look at his side profile. Are you angry with me? Little Jing Kong turned around on the stool and continued to have his back facing Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao said softly, I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't know you would be afraid. Little Jing Kong couldn't help but say, I'm not afraid. I'm not that timid. Gu Jiao pretended to be surprised. Is that so? Then why are you angry? I was. Little Jing Kong teased her for a long time, but he didn't say the words, I missed you. Gu Jiao came up to him again. He lowered his eyes and didn't look at Gu Jiao, but Gu Jiao looked at him steadily. Okay, it's my fault today. I apologize to you. Can you forgive me? Little Jing Kong glanced at Gu Jiao quickly and lowered his head. He pinched the corner of his clothes and said softly, I need a kiss to forgive you. Gu Jiao's heart almost melted. What kind of cutie was this? She would give him 10 kisses, not to mention one. Gu Jiao kissed his little face without hesitation. Little Jing Kong was stunned. He opened his grape-like eyes wide and stared at Gu Jiao for a few seconds. Finally, he screamed. "Ah!" He said it casually, "But you really kissed him." Little Jing Kong covered his face with his little hands and ran away shyly. Little Jing Kong, who was kissed, looked like he was drunk the whole night. His little face was extremely red. During the meal, he sat beside Gu Jiao, as obedient as a little mimosa. At night, Xiao Lulang bathed him as usual. He sat in the small basin and handed his left face to Xiao Lulang. "This side is enough. Don't wash the other side. There's a kiss there." With an expressionless face, Xiao Lulang grabbed the towel in the basin and slapped it on the right side of his face. "Little Jing Kong, little Jing Kong." Wah! Little Jing Kong's heart-wrenching cries suddenly came from the kitchen. Old Mistress, who was secretly eating candied plums in her room, was shocked and almost lost her life. Old Mistress was furious and shouted, "Lulang, what did you do to him again?" Xiao Lulang didn't do anything. He just washed the kiss on a certain little monk's face clean. Little Jing Kong cried miserably. In the end, Gu Jiao came over and gave him another kiss. Only then did he stop crying. Little Jing Kong became very careful after that. He used his little hands to protect his face to prevent his bad brother-in-law from sneaking up on him. He didn't have any hair, so he could go to bed after bathing and putting on his clothes. He hugged his little pillow and went to old mistress's room to say good night. Then, he went to Gu Jiao's room to say good night. "Jiao Jiao, I'm going to bed now. See you tomorrow." Gu Jiao patted his little bald head and said, "Go to bed. I'll wake you up tomorrow morning." "Okay." Little Jing Kong skipped back to the west room. He took off his shoes and climbed into bed. Xiao Lulang was sitting in front of the desk, copying a book. Little Jing Kong looked at his bad brother-in-law warily and moved his little pillow further away from his bad brother-in-law's pillow. Xiao Lulang didn't even lift his eyelids and only snorted. Little Jing Kong put his hands on his waist and said, "Don't you dare touch my kiss." Xiao Lulang raised his eyebrows and said, "Your kiss?" Little Jing Kong said proudly, "Jiao Jiao gave it to me. You didn't." Xiao Lulang looked at him slowly and his gaze fell on his chubby little face. He said unhurriedly, "I don't need to touch them. They'll fly away by themselves when you fall asleep." Little Jing Kong's face changed. He could already see the cruel scene of his two kisses abandoning him when he wasn't paying attention. He felt terrible. These two little traitors. After 3 seconds of shock, Little Jing Kong jumped out of bed and went to Gu Jiao's room. He asked for a veil from Gu Jiao and wrapped it around his face and head. He wrapped himself up tightly like a little farmer who was going to work in the fields. Then, he carried a standard farmer's hat and went back to his room valiantly. Little Jing Kong raised his chin and said to his bad brother-in-law, "I'm covered. They can't fly away." Little Jing Kong was a very smart child. Although he was less than 4 years old, he could recognize more words than the senior brothers in the temple. When the other young monks were having a headache about how to recite the scriptures, he could already recite them backwards. Therefore, when he said to Xiao Lulang that he was always the first in exams, he was used to it. He wasn't bragging, he was just stating an objective fact. He had a complete set of logic that couldn't be interfered with by anyone. The senior brothers couldn't win against him, and even the abbot couldn't win against him. He was actually a very troublesome existence in the temple. It was only because he met Xiao Lulang that he was occasionally led astray. However, his logic was still invincible. Therefore, no matter how Xiao Lulang interfered with him, he always found his own solution. Xiao Lulang said, "What's the point of covering it up? You can take off the veil tomorrow, they'll still fly away." Little Jing Kong said, "No, I've already planted them. They'll sprout tomorrow morning. They can't leave me in the future." Digression. Many years later, the Heavenly General remembered his dark history when he was a child. Ah! So shameful. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more complete. Millions of novels are free to read. All the novels that can't be found on the internet are available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_826/697040008. HTML Genius remembered the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website, m. zhbqg.com. Chapter 72. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels will be read for free. You can find all the novels that you can't find on the internet. Xiao Lulang was speechless. Xiao Lulang had never raised a child before, so he didn't know if other people's children were as weird as his. Xuan Ningxiang's child was definitely not like that. That little bean only knew how to eat, unlike the little monk Gu Jiao brought back. His brain was filled with weird things. Little Jing Kong, who was waiting for his kiss to germinate, fell asleep while hugging his quilt. Under Gu Jiao's care and repair, the west room was no longer damp. The mattress was dried a few days ago, so it was soft and warm. Little Jing Kong slept very comfortably, and his little face seemed to be filled with a happy smile. Xiao Lulang glanced at little Jing Kong, but he didn't take it to heart. He continued to copy the book. After Xiao Lulang copied a line of words, he frowned slightly, put down the pen, and picked up a book to read. Soon, he found that he couldn't concentrate on the book, so he frowned deeply. After a while, he turned his head and his eyes fell on the little monk who was sleeping soundly. He stood up and walked to the bed. He bent down slightly, stretched out his slender fingers, and gently untied little Jing Kong's head veil. Little Jing Kong was so asleep that he didn't wake up at all. He didn't know that his bad brother-in-law was playing tricks on him again. Xiao Lulang looked at his bright red cheeks and naughtily extended his demonic claws, plucking his face with a swoosh. After Gu Jiao finished her work, she went to the west room to ask Xiao Lulang to do rehabilitation. The door was open, so she walked in openly. In the end, she saw Xiao Lulang lying on the bed. His jade-like delicate hands were scratching little Jing Kong's face, as if he was pulling some invisible grass. He was quite serious, even more serious than when he was studying. Gu Jiao was confused. "What are you doing? Was he possessed?" He looked like an old-fashioned scholar, but was he so childish when playing with children? The next day, Gu Jiao woke up little Jing Kong. The first thing little Jing Kong did when he woke up was to touch his veil. Seeing that the veil was still wrapped around his head, he was secretly relieved. After one night, Yaya would have definitely grown out. In the future, Jiao Jiao's kisses would always be on his face. Gu Jiao couldn't bear to tell him that his little seeds and sprouts had already been killed by his brother-in-law last night. After breakfast, Gu Jiao sent Xiao Lulang to the entrance of the village. In the past, she used to send him by herself. Now that she had little Jing Kong, the mother and daughter, no, the two sisters sent him together. A family of 3, strangely neat. It was worth mentioning that Xiao Lulang had become the county examination's first desk master, so his reputation in town had increased. The number of people who came to him to copy books had also increased. However, in order to let him prepare for the examination with peace of mind, Gu Jiao didn't allow him to accept any more books to supplement the family income. Xiao Lulang finished copying the books that he promised and received 10 taels of silver. It was less than half of the amount he used to copy books, but the money was several times more. He gave all the money he earned to Gu Jiao and didn't accept any more tasks to copy books. The day of the prefectural examination was approaching, and the examinees started to make preparations. The current dynasty's county and prefectural examinations were held earlier than the previous dynasties. At the end of February, the examinees had to leave for the examination hall in the prefectural city to take part in the prefectural examination. It took a few days to travel from town to the prefectural city by horse carriage. Although Xiao Lulang was rehabilitating every day, he still couldn't throw away his crutches. Therefore, Gu Jiao was worried that he would go out alone. Gu Jiao wanted to go to the prefectural city with him, but she had to take care of the elderly and children at home, so she couldn't leave. Fortunately, Feng Lin had applied for leave from the academy and accompanied Xiao Lulang to the prefectural city. Before they left, Gu Jiao packed a bag for Xiao Lulang. Other than clothes and money, she also packed a few bottles of emergency medicine from the small medicine box. This was to prevent him from getting carsick from the long journey, and to prevent him from getting acclimatized to the environment and having diarrhea. The horse carriage to town was prepared by the headmaster. Gu Jiao didn't refuse. Although she didn't lack money to hire a horse carriage, how could a hired horse carriage be better than the headmaster's horse carriage? The coachman was also from the academy, so he was very familiar with the prefectural city. Before dawn, the coachman drove the horse carriage to the village. Feng Lin was waiting in town. Gu Jiao took the bag onto the horse carriage and gave the coachman a purse. "Thank you for your hard work." No. The coachman was ordered by the headmaster to send Xiao Lulang to the prefectural test. He had never seen the headmaster care so much about any student, so he naturally didn't dare to accept Gu Jiao's bribe in private. Moreover, the headmaster was an honest person. If the headmaster knew that he had accepted bribes, he would definitely be expelled from the academy. Gu Jiao said, "Take it. The red packet for the headmaster is bigger than the one for you." The coachman was speechless. In the toilet, little Jing Kong and Xiao Lulang started a conversation between men. Little Jing Kong looked serious. "Do you want to talk?" "Talk about what?" Xiao Lulang said calmly. Little Jing Kong glanced at him and said, "You don't have to pee behind my back." "I won't peep." Xiao Lulang said expressionlessly, "Get to the point." Little Jing Kong said seriously, "I heard that you and Jiao Jiao have been married for so long, but you haven't traveled far." Xiao Lulang raised his eyebrows and said, "So?" Little Jing Kong looked straight ahead. "My family is a little worried about you." The corner of Xiao Liulong's lips twitched indifferently. "Heh." Little Jing Kong raised his little hand seriously and made a stop gesture. "You don't have to feel too much pressure. It's okay if you don't do well in the exam. Anyway, when I grow up, I will do very well in the exam. My family doesn't need to rely on you. I can support it." After that, he got up from the toilet bowl with a strong aura, pulled up his underwear, and went out with a domineering look. Xiao Lulang, who was despised by him even when he was peeing, was speechless. What kind of arrogant little monk was this? The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more complete. Millions of novels are free to read. There are all kinds of novels that can't be found on the internet here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_826/116131695. HTML Genius remembered the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.